Yo, okay. About to get started. Just need to share the link real quick. Oops. I have to find the proper book emoji. I like the green book. There's slime reasons, right? Put that bad boy in there. Fuck. All right, pumped and primed. Close this. Okay, you should be able to chat for the one person watching. I think it's my wife, yes. So you should be able to chat and then I can interact with you. Talk to, let's see here.
I remember this week, Johnny, telling people that Geico's been offering savings for over 75 years.
Okay. Good start. Okay. Man. All right. I'm freaking pumped. So, happy Halloween. I'm Clay Astroman. And tonight, I'm sure I'm going to regret it. I'll be reading the entirety of Volume 1 of Spooky Basement. Welcome to Monsteropolis. Let's just jump in. I'm not going to read the copyright page nor the dedication page, even though they're both really, really, really friggin' good. So, Chapter 1. Baron crashed into his throne, tore open an envelope, and began reading intensely. His guitar and best friend Grindax hung above him from a massive spike on the wall. Grindax was blacker than the blackest witch butthole and older than the oldest witch butthole. He had a body shaped like a spider's head, with neon purple toe knobs for eyes and inverse jacks that also served as poisonous fangs. His neck was a twisted mass of nails, and his frets glowed in the darker light. It didn't even matter. Oh yeah, he could also talk. Yo, Baron, what's that you're reading? He asked his best friend in the universe. It's an invitation to Little Billy's birthday party, Baron replied to his best friend in the universe. Ballerass, I love LB. When and where? Right now, at Pizzeria 64. Don't you mean Pizzeria 51? No, that place exploded, remember? You were there. We both were. Yeah, of course, it was legit. Grindex didn't remember, and he was intentionally vague so it would sound like he thought Pizzeria 51 was legit in case Baron had dug it, or the explosion that destroyed it in case he hadn't. Grindex was far more insecure than any blacker-than-butthole spider guitar monster should be. He flew off the wall and landed on the ground next to Baron, digging his fangs into the carpet and injecting some venom into it for good measure. All right, man, let's go hit this up, Baron said as he rose from his throne made of shark bones and dental floss. Grindex bombed out a frothy web guitar strap and Baron slung his buddy over his shoulder. Normally, the strap's crazy acidity would have melted right through someone who did that, slicing him in half like a mushy banana. But not Baron. Baron was too tough and too pumped. He slammed his boots together to activate their jet thrusters, and the duo took off into the sky toward Pizzeria 64. We're here, dude. Wake up, Baron said after a super long flight. Grindex had gone into hibernation mode during the trip in order to conserve his power for the party. While he slept, he dreamt of orangutan ghosts who screamed as they watched a group of chimps play bongos on their skulls. Not their own skulls, but the orangutan skulls. Now he was awake and staring up at Pizzeria 64. It looked amazing, like Pizzeria 51, but with an expansion pack. The entire building was shaped like a flying saucer and was painted with mercury, so it shined like crazy and made you feel sick if you stood too close to it. A neon Pizzeria 64 sign pulsed violently and changed colors from orange to black to red to green, so whether it was Halloween or Christmas, you got pumped/primed. Fart yeah, let's tear this party apart. Baron, shit, hold on. Fart yeah, let's tear this party apart, Baron whispered because Grindex was slowly waking up and he wanted to be respectful of that. As the duo busted up to the threshold, the front door swung open, even though they hadn't grabbed the handle or stepped on one of those magic mats or anything. Slowly, but also really confidently, Baron and Grindex walked into Pizzeria 64. As soon as they entered, a voice asked, "Are you boys here to die tonight?" Chapter 2, Getting Spooked. Oh, hell yeah, 5 people watching. This is awesome. Baron searched for the location of the voice, which sounded like it came from a French baby standing at the bottom of a mountain. It actually came from the maitre d', who stood at Pizzeria 64's ped check gate. A ped check gate is where someone, usually / ironically a ped, cat's trying to come in, stamps your hand with a unique identifier to make sure a stranger doesn't try to leave with you. The only rad thing about ped check gates is that the stamps tend to be UV sensitive, so there's usually a blacklight chilling somewhere nearby. This can provide a solid mini pump upon entering, what up, man, and potentially a max pump upon exiting, as long as you were smart enough to turn your tickets into glow-in-the-dark spiders or something. The fuck did you just say to us, you little bitch? Baron demanded. Excusez-moi, sir, the maitre d' replied pompously with his neck fat jiggling all over the place. His face was melty and gross, and his eyes were almost shut from his dumb grin and even dumber fat. I merely said, "Are you boys here to dine tonight?" Oh, I must have misheard you, Baron replied with a manic smile. You should really learn to speak up. He pulled out a razor guitar pick and threw it into the maitre d's throat. The probably a ped screamed, and the French modulations made the guitar pick cut wider and deeper, until his neck split down the middle and his head flipped backward. Blood spewed everywhere, and the maitre d's tongue stood straight up in the air and danced around like an idiot. He fell to the ground, either dead or really close to it. Baron grabbed the ped check stamp off the counter and stamped his hand / Grindex's fretboard. Can't be too safe, he chuckled. He threw the stamp onto the maitre d's stomach with such force that it rocketed his tongue out of his neck hole and almost into his skee-ball machine's 50 slot. But of fucking course, it bounced out and impotently rolled into the 10. What up, man? Which might as well have been 0. Baron and Grindex busted in the main area of Pizzeria 64 and up to the food counter. A teenager, glowing orange from spray tan and wearing an upside-down visor, greeted them. Hey, she rasped with a valley gutter accent. Y'all here for the party? Maybe, Baron replied coolly. But even if we were, we never party on an empty stomach. Give us 2 large pizzas. Extreme sour watermelon for me, hot blue raz for my friend here. Your friend? The girl replied, licking her lips and leaning in towards Baron's crotch. I'd love to meet him. Your wish is my command, babe. Baron swung Grindex off his shoulder, slamming the teen in the head and sending cobalt blue sparks flying into the sky. The girl fell back against the wall and gurgled like a confused sheep. Now, about that za, Baron demanded. With her last ounce of strength, the teen reached up from the ground and dinged a little bell. Behind her, metal kitchen doors exploded open and fog poured into the room. A crazed chef, obese, but that kind of obese where he still has a 4-pack and giant muscles busting through his chef clothes, slowly walked out of the kitchen. He held a massive meat cleaver in each ham-hock hand. Drool dripped from his mustachioed lip, and his eyes glazed and twitched in pure intensity. He was the absolute embodiment of piss/pumped. "So, you want some za, do ya?" He screamed, spitting saliva and bits of ravioli onto the now-dead teenage worker. "Come and get it!" Chapter 3. The obese chef charged at Baron and swung his right meat cleaver. Baron jumped back, but the cleaver grazed him and sliced off a few eyebrows. As he watched him flutter to the floor, he realized that this dude wasn't messing around. So without further hesitation, Baron grabbed Grindax and started shredding. He alternated between power chords and high notes so seamlessly that it sounded like 4 people were playing at once, one focusing on power chords and the other 3 on notes, but maybe sometimes 2 and 2. The chef instantly became so mesmerized that a trickle of pee ran down his leg. He hoped that no one noticed, but everyone did, and talked about it later. One kid even drew a picture of it from memory that night. And when his mom found it, she put the kid in therapy without telling him or his dad the reason, because she thought that was her way of protecting them. But when she finally mentioned it one night when the kid was in his 20s and she was drunk on Chardonnay, shit really hit the fan. As Baron held the final note on the 75th fret, bending it in an infini wail, a black hole appeared in front of him. Chameleon Paint's skeleton arms shot out of the void and grabbed the chef's face really hard. "Time out! Time out!" the chef cried, swinging his arms wildly in circles. "No way, Jose," Baron replied, repulsed by his foe's display of wimpiness. Grindax nervously scanned the room in case anyone thought Baron was being racist because the chef sort of looked Hispanic, but everyone was cool about it. The skeleton hand squeezed the chef's cheeks, face, not butt, even harder while he continued to flail around like a drunk chicken. After an hour, and with a wet pop, the chef's head snapped off and soared across Pizzeria 64, spritzing blood everywhere before dropping straight through the hoop of a basketball redemption game. Tickets exploded out of the machine and sirens went nuts, announcing the highest score in history. "And one, baby," Baron muttered as he stepped over the chef's corpse and into the kitchen. After chowing down hard on pizza, Baron and Grindax were finally ready to join Little Billy's birthday party. But that's when Baron realized something that stopped him dead in his track/pump. They'd totally forgotten to bring a present. What do y'all think? Pretty good? Let's see. Oh, hell yeah. Awesome. All right, chapter 4. "Dude, what are we going to do?" Baron asked in a panic. "We don't have shit to give LB." "Yo, wait, Grindax said reassuringly. "Isn't it, soft-shell crab season?" "The fuck?" Baron snapped. "Who would know that? Why do you know that?" "I don't know. That's why I was asking." "Well, I sure as fuck don't know either." "Oh." There was an uncomfortable silence, where the only sound came from an arcade machine shouting, "Bingo!" over and over again. "Dude," Baron started again as calmly as possible. "Why did you bring up crabs when we should be freaking out over Little Billy's gift?" "Well, that's just it. I was thinking we could give him some. One, if they're expensive, as his birthday present." "This is fucking LB we're talking about," Baron said as pissed as possible. "The same LB who, for your birthday, gave you a guitar pedal that turns all of your notes into fart noises, batteries included. And you want to give him crabs? Soft-shell crabs. The fuck even is that, a pet?" I don't know. I just keep hearing people talking about him. That's why I was hoping you'd be down so we could find out together." Baron palm muted Grindax. He needed to think. As his eyes followed the trail of blood left by the chef's head, he noticed a snake of tickets still crawling out of the basketball machine. There had to be at least 1,000 there already. "Grindax," he said, unmuting his annoying but well-intentioned friend. "How good are you at dunking?" Chapter 5. Baron walked over to the basketball game and picked up the pile of tickets, which were still covered in blood/tomato sauce. He wrapped them around his neck like a sweet scarf and slammed a token into the machine. How would this sound? Welcome to Basketball City, where it's dunk or die," the game shrieked in a warbled robot voice. "Dunk," Baron answered back. 4 basketballs shot out and flew through the air toward Baron and Grindax. In mid-flight, each ball split in half, revealing rows of conical fangs. Baron grabbed Grindax's whammy bar and started wailing on it, and Grindax sprang into action. He grew out his razor wire strings like crazy vines and grabbed the basketballs from the sky. The balls squirmed and chomped on the strings, but each bite shot them full of 100 volts, or more in case that's not a lot. He continued growing them all the way up to the hoop, then slammed the balls through the net while Baron screamed quotes from NBA Jam. Jams it in! Boom shakalaka! He's heating up! He's on fire! The net exploded in super patriotic red, white, and blue flames. Basket Brawl City groaned in defeat. You dudes truly are the Dukes of Dunk, the machine coughed before vomiting up another 1,000 tickets. Baron didn't even acknowledge the compliment because he already knew it to be true. Instead, he grabbed the tickets off the ground and wrapped them around Grindax's guitar neck so they could both have sweet scarves. The Dukes of Dunk then headed over to the redemption area to spend their newfound fortune. A pimply young geek sat behind the ticket counter playing a video game on his phone. Baron recognized from the music that it was Escape from Sideburn Mountain 4 in space. Oh, nice. Is that EFSM 4? He asked. First off, it's ESM, not EFSM, the geek sighed, emphasizing EFSM in a mockingly baby-ass voice. Baron bristled. And now, he continued, it's ESM 5, Sideburn Mountain in the Hood. You probably haven't heard of it. It's pre-alpha, invite only. Baron saw the phone screen reflected in the glass counter, and the nerd was definitely playing EFSM 4. Baron recognized the level and everything. The fact that the geek would lie about something so trivial in order to seem cool/superior made Baron's blood boil. Whatever, pencil neck, Baron growled. Just give me the best prize I can get for 2,000 tickets. Jetpack, radioactive scorpion, whatever. And be quick about it. 2,000? The geek laughed nasally. Even this crappy rubber spider's 18 million tickets. Hey, it kind of looks like your guitar, doesn't it? Chinese, cheap, and crappy. Baron and Grindax instantly/simultaneously went ballistic. Grindax filled his fangs with his most necrotoxic venom as Baron thrust him straight at the dweeb's 5 inches in circumference throat. A bright flash erupted, and Grindax's fangs felt like they had just bitten into an electric hot pocket. His 8 eyes adjusted to find the nerd still sitting behind the counter, douchily playing EFSM 4. Gold force field, motherfuckers, he sneered. 100 Bojo Chilean tickets. The duo's hearts sank as they choked back Pizza Bomb in utter devastation. Not only would they have to dunk for infinity to earn enough tickets for LB's gift, but they had been bested by a dweeby hipster baby bitch. It was the worst day in history for anyone ever. Wow, Baron repeated as he walked away from the ticket counter. I think this is it, man. I think this is finally it. Set your fangs to seppuku. Grindax's spider eyes filled with glow-in-the-dark tears, but he complied. He and Baron had talked about this scenario numerous times, especially when they were drunk, but he never thought it would actually happen. If that's what you want, dude, Grindax said sadly as he extended his fangs. It's not what I want, Baron snapped. It's what has to be done. For our honor. For our pump. I know. Gotta stay pumped. Hey, stay pumped, Marshmallow Man. I just got that. Ha, Baron laughed, appreciating his buddy, warts and all, for the last time. It's been awesome knowing you, man. And you, dude. Baron turned Grindax toward his chest and prepared to enter Pumphala, which is a lot like Valhalla, but with more warriors spinning in office chairs and banging on pots and pans. Fart. Throat's already shot. See if anything needs to be addressed. Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks for watching, y'all. So, chapter 6. I can't do a girl voice. If Mrs. Bones is ready, she can help. Otherwise, I will attempt it.
Not on camera.
All right. Okay, you can come back later.
Okay.
Wait! Baron heard the voice from across Pizzeria 64. It came from a cool-looking kid holding a cooler-looking cat. "Baron, don't do it!" the kid yelled as she ran over to the suicidal super dudes. Grindax retracted his fangs. Baron lowered him and said, "Make it quick, kid. We have a date with the Pump Reaper. Cool cat, by the way." "Thanks, dudes," the cat replied in a sweetly obnoxious voice. He was shock orange, overweight, wearing shades, and breathing through his mouth for some reason. Maybe he had a deviated septum, or maybe it was just preference. Either way, he looked/sounded awesome. "Don't do it, Baron," the kid repeated. Something must have been wrong with her septum, too, because she was out of breath after running like 50 feet. "Look, don't ask me how I know," she wheezed, "but you have so many sweet ventures ahead of you." "No crap? How do you know?" "Come on, man. I just said don't ask." "Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot." "It's cool. I know about the ADHD." Baron stared down at Grindax's frets, wondering what they were made of and if changing the material would make a tonal difference or if it was more of a height thing. "Listen, Baron," the kid continued. "You gotta trust me on this. You're needed in this realm and in others." Baron couldn't see through the cat's shades, but he somehow sensed the feline wink. "But what about the Geekazoid and our pump/honor?" "Dude, fuck that little dweeb," the kid replied sternly. "He's probably just mad because he saw you dunk so hard. He knows he'll never be able to dunk or make out with a babe or anything. He hates everyone because he hates himself, and that's why someday he'll die, still working here, a miserable old non-grandpa." Baron thought about all the times he had dunked and made out with babes, and how it was impossible to imagine the nerd even doing a layup or slapping five with a chick. The kid's logic checked out. "All right, homie," Baron replied. "I believe you. We'll stick around a little longer. But first..." Baron turned and shot a middle finger to the nerd, who acted like he didn't see it. But he did, and it stung so hard he immediately game overed, and the high score screen auto-inputted, "Sucks." "Fart, yeah," the kid laughed. The cat started to purr. Grindax tried to purr too, but it sounded really weird/off. He changed the subject before anyone noticed. "If we're not doing the group suicide," he said, "which I'm totally down for either way, we'll still need to figure out a present for little Billy." "Damn, true," Baron nodded. He looked to the kid. "Got ideas?" "Actually, yeah. I heard some poop-faced baby crying over at Looter's Lost and Found. He said he dropped a pocket knife somewhere in the ball pit." "Legit!" Baron shouted as he grabbed Grindax and dashed over to the ball pit. He dove in head first, and with a vortical whoosh, everything went black. Baron awoke to find himself lying on the ground, staring up at a hot pink sky. Flying eyeball monsters drifted lazily below, chartreuse clouds, and even chartreuse stars. "Grindax, are you okay?" Baron choked. "Yeah, man," Grindax replied from somewhere nearby. "Pump reading's nominal." "Nominal? That's not very pumped." Baron sat up. "Whoa, Nelly!" Grindax yelled. "Pump reading's now at 4129. What'd you see?" Baron picked Grindax off the ground and assumed a power stance. Before them stood a black metal material gate with black metal music, letters that read, "Welcome to Monsteropolis." Now I have to let in the cat. Sam. Sam. Come here. There he is. The true star of the show. All right. Chapter 7. After the intro credits rolled, Baron and Grindax threw open the gate and busted into World 1-1. Spooky chiptunes faded in as the duo entered a labyrinthine pumpkin patch. All of the pumpkins, trees, and dead grass bits were blacklit and growing like crazy. Baron's pump meter flashed to indicate that it was maxed out and in danger of overloading, but Grindax's remained at 93% since he still felt a twinge of embarrassment from the purring incident. Not wanting his buddy's pump to drop any further, Baron sheathed Grindax and began exploring. He quickly noticed that as he walked deeper into the patch, fewer pumpkins and more jack-o'-lanterns surrounded him. Their eye-hole flames silently followed, making his arm hairs dance around like crazy. To break the tension and determine whether the Jackos were cool or not, Baron asked, "Yo, pumpkins, have you seen a pocket knife around here?" "Yeah, man," replied an oblong gourd. "Mrs. Bones ran by here with one a few minutes ago. She says something about using it to fix us since we were too scary for her precious babies." "Fuck that," Baron replied disgustedly. The pumpkins were definitely cool and definitely in trouble. "Don't worry, dark dudes," he assured them. "We won't let anyone make you family friendly." "More like family wimpy," Grindex called from behind Baron. A few pumpkins screamed because they hadn't realized he was there, but none of them laughed because they weren't fake and it wasn't funny. "So, where's Mrs. Bones now?" Baron asked, in part because he was interested, but mostly to pull Grindex's frets out of the fire. "At the edge of the patch," the Jackos responded. "That-a-way." Their candles glowed neon green, which looked so rad against the black lights that Baron got ghost pumps. Goosebumps. Ghost bumps. R.L. Stein. Baron and Grindex followed the glowing trail. After about an hour ADHD time, 3 minutes normal time, they noticed another change in the Jacko monsters, this time for the worse. The carvings featured fewer glowering eyes and sharp fangs, and more eyelashes and surprised little ooh mouths. Baron trudged ahead, putting on a forced autist smile not to let the Jackos know how lame they looked. He palm-muted Grindex because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep his spider mouth shut, but the pumpkins only went from worst to worst. They became bedazzled with cheap crystals, their orange flesh poxed by glittery beauty marks and cliche phrases like "keep calm and be a fierce Halloweenista" and "trick" or hashtag PSL. The most unfortunate souls weren't carved at all, but merely / crudely painted to look like the princess or snowman character from an animated movie made by a very litigious company. These not even Jackos looked so baby-ass that it alliteratively boiled Baron's blood and ground Grindex's gears. "Mrs. Bones will pay for this," Baron vowed as he slammed his eyes shut to avoid looking further upon the depressing harvest. He blindly continued his journey, walking for miles and leaving a graveyard of Mercy Crunch pumpkins in his wake. He would have kept walking / crunching for even more miles, but a stucco wall stopped him right in the face. Baron opened his eyes to find the wall attached to a generic 2-story suburban house. It was barely decorated, despite the fact that it's always Halloween in Monsteropolis. One tissue paper ghost hung from a tree on the front lawn, and the porch light had been replaced with a green bulb, but that was it. Meanwhile, tubs of Christmas decorations had been dragged to the side of the house, suggesting that the owner couldn't wait to take down the lone ghost at 12 a.m. on November 1st. If November 1st ever came to Monsteropolis, which it didn't. Baron was fucking livid. He stomped up to the porch and was about to use his jet boots to fire kick the place to pieces when he noticed a bowl of Halloween candy by the front door. A sign above it read, "Take only one, Mrs. Bones." "Oh, dang," Baron gasped. "Looks like we found Mrs. Bones, and maybe she isn't so terrible after all." Even if a take-one policy is stingy as fuck, and the underlining was a bit much, Mrs. Bones had at least put out some candy. Better yet, none of it was organic bullshit. Baron felt guilty for prejudging the skeleton mom, but proud that he learned a valuable lesson. "Grindex, what you want?" Let me get one of those unlabeled black and orange ones." "The fucking ped candies? No way, man. You'll get poison / touch for sure." "Haha, I know, JK. Grindex laughed, even though he was anything but JK. "I was just seeing if you knew. Hit me with a crackle." "Shit, now that's more like it. I'm going Butterfinger." Baron grabbed the 2 candies, exactly one for each of them. As soon as his hand left the bowl, the front door exploded into a billion shards of faux fancy fiberglass, as he and Grindex were blasted off the porch by a vicious mom howl. "No! Take only one!" Such bullshit. Mrs. Bones is based on a real person, by the way, who fucked our Halloween when we were trick-or-treating at 18. She had a little fucking sign out in her front yard that legit was Mrs. Bones' house. and she had a bowl of candy, and all we were doing was trying to bust up and take one. And we were in costume, and we are just being normal. And as soon as we reached in the bowl, no shit, the door just burst open, and she started shrieking at us and yelling about taking only one. And we couldn't even explain that we were just taking one. She just wouldn't hear it. And we were trying to explain it logically. And then, like, it just broke something in her brain. She goes, "You're too old to take anything. Now beat it." And then the rest of the night, we were super depressed. And we just sat against the side of this little grocery store. And then we thought we heard a Vivek say one of our names. So that was a pump up. And then my friend, because we were in Texas, so there's still bugs, because it was like in October, it's still fucking 80 degrees. He got bitten by a spider because he took his shoes off, because he had like ninja boots on, and they were giving him blisters. So he took them off, and then like a spider bit him, and he was freaking out all night, and I was fucking losing it. Yes. Bonnie. All right. Chapter 8. It was Mrs. Bones, 8 feet tall with 4 arms of Terra. The crabby skeleton mom towered above Baron and Grindax. Her apron, emblazoned with a calligraphic "Momster knows best," blew violently in the suburban night air. The blonde bob on her skull didn't move at all, though, since it was too short. She told everyone she cut it that way to be fashionable, but they knew she had just become lazy with age. Baron pulled himself and Grindax off the lawn and looked up at the mini-boss who stood before them. His glance caught her narrowed eye sockets, and he was suddenly overcome with the despair of the countless kids whom she had grounded for absolutely no reason. Only her voice broke the spell. "Can't you read?" she shrieked. "Take only one." "I did, you bony bag of bitch," Baron grunted while dusting himself off. He unwrapped the Butterfinger and slammed it into his mouth, and so did he. Mrs. Bones looked at Baron, who was angrily chomping on his candy. Then she looked at Grindax, who was gnawing on his still-wrapped crackle. She ran the numbers in her head. Still unconvinced, she pulled out a bedazzled pink BlackBerry, which she called her iPhone and which permanently had a shattered screen. After logging in a schoolbook and sharing a few dozen memes featuring pixelated minions yelling something ungrammatical about coffee/wine, she opened a calculator app and confirmed that, in fact, 1 and 1 equaled 2. They equaled 2 no matter how many times she ran the calculation. Even Googling "if 1 candy for 1, but 2, how many candies.com" didn't give her the answer she wanted. But never wanting to admit she was wrong about anything, she quickly deflected. "Too bad," she screamed. "You're too old to take any candy. Now beat it." She leapt at Baron, scratching the air with her gnarly press-on nails. Baron deftly dodged the attack, and Mrs. Bones crashed into the ground and immediately started sobbing, even though Baron hadn't done anything to her and she was the one who was trying to hurt him. I had too much to do today," she wailed. I'm tired." "Oh, fart knockers," Grindax whispered to Baron. "Dude, her piss/pump readings are off the charts." Mrs. Bones realized no one was coming to her aid, so she shut off the waterworks and went back into full rage mode. "What are we talking?" Baron replied. "She's at a 12, no, 13. That's not too bad. Remember the mom at the frozen yogurt place in the mall? The one who went fucking ballistic on you after you took too many napkins from the dispenser, even though it was an accident and you neatly set them off to the side?" Baron shivered. "She was a 4. "Oh, fart knockers." Baron steadied himself and assumed a defensive power stance of maximum intensity. "I don't need this right now," Mrs. Bones roared, launching a stink vortex of nail polish remover, and perfume samples out of her Diet Cola-stained mouth. Even Baron's most powerful power stance was no match for that caliber of stink. He and Grindax were blasted backward across the front lawn. They slammed into the tree and likely would have died on impact had the tissue paper ghost not cushioned the blow. Baron gave it a thumbs up, and Grindax slowly blinked at it in case tissue paper ghosts were like cats. Mrs. Bones growled in frustration and reached into her apron. "Baron, the knife!" Grindax shouted. The skeleton mom had withdrawn an ancient pocket knife. It looked incredible, like something a grandpa would keep tucked away in his shoebox for decades, before lovingly passing it down to his idiot grandson who would lose it in the ball pit the same day. Before Baron could respond/get pumped, Mrs. Bones opened the knife and lunged. I told you to clean your room before the maid gets here. How was she supposed to clean it when it's so messy? Her riddle paralyzed Baron and Gurndax, who became sitting/stabbable ducks. As Mrs. Bones began her deadly descent, a small, bedazzled pumpkin rolled over and vine leapt into the sky. It looked down at Baron, gave him a knowing smile, and mouthed, Fucking do it. I can't live this way another second. Please, set me free. Baron's confusion was quickly replaced by compassion and piss/pump. He winked out a tear and swung Grindex like a baseball bat, smashing the pumpkin into a typhoon of gourd meat and cheap Barvosky crystals. Every piece of pumpkin shrapnel blasted Mrs. Bones across her face and bone boobs. The pocket knife fell from the Skelemom's hand and directly into Baron's, as she busted infinity flips into the stratosphere. Baron used the knife to wail a triumphant power slide on Grindex, while the entire jack-o'-lantern crowd cheered like crazy and flashed every color of the spooky rainbow: purple, green, orange, and black light, which is different than purple. The crew partied hard for the next few hours, eating all of Mrs. Bones' candy and taking turns pissing on her Take One sign. When the partying and pissing finally subsided, Baron realized that he and Grindex needed to get their newfound gift back to little Billy before his birthday ended. Yo, pump buds, Baron said with a mouthful of his 296th Butterfinger. How do we get back to Earth from here? Earth? Belched a fat jackal monster. What that means, squeaked another. You know, Earth. The planet or dimension or whatever that we teleported from. All of the pumpkins tilted on the blacklit grass, looking like a patch of confused dog heads. Well, fuck knockers, Grindex, Baron groaned. It looks like we're stuck here. So, Chapter 9. Baron ran back down the trail and past the gate, hoping the portal would still be visible/open. It wasn't/wasn't. He jumped around and turned over a bunch of rocks in case the portal had just become super tiny or shy, but it was nowhere to be found. Dude, we're gonna miss the fucking party, Baron yelled, ignoring the fact that he had just partied for 1,000,000 hours. He felt hyper frustrated and looked for something to take it out on, which happened to be a beautifully carved cat gourd chilling next to his feet. He picked it up and reared back a fist, ready to explode it into infinity. The tiny pumpkin shook in terror and began crying sweet-smelling pumpkin seeds. Yo, chill, Grindex pleaded. He hated seeing his buddy so stressed, and he definitely didn't want to see an innocent cat-o'-lantern bite the big one. Just take it easy, man. I understand that you're pissed about the portal. So am I. But smashing pumpkins won't get you repumped. They're way too angsty. Baron looked over slowly. Grindex prodded. You feeling like a rat in a cage? Despite all his rage, Baron chuckled at the bad joke. He unreared his fist and morphed it into a contrite thumbs up. Good, dude, good, Grindex sighed in relief. Look, all we've eaten since we've got here is fucking Halloween candy. You're probably just hungry. Let's kill some bergs and extreme presso, and then we'll bust back. The portal will be open by then. I can feel it in my frets. Grindex's optimism was infectious to Baron, and a berg did sound awesome. All right, Meng, he said, let's go, and thanks for talking me off the murder ledge. He carefully set down the cat-o'-lantern. Sorry about that, homie. It's okay, the pumpkin replied. If I were trapped in an alternate dimension while the baller party was going on back home, I'd be pissed too. I'd probably be so pissed I'd punch you in the face so hard, your face would shoot out your butt and smell everything along the way. Dang, Baron and Grindex whispered. It was a pretty intense vision. They chunked up a deuce on the pumpkin patch and trudged back to Mrs. Bones' house in search of meat/caffeine. When they got there, Baron walked through where the front door had exploded, and the two entered a dark foyer. The air reeked of expensive candles and cheap Chardonnay. It was truly a mom's domain. They cautiously busted into the kitchen, passing endless chore charts and plastic-wrapped couches. When they reached the fridge, Baron opened it hopefully. But what he saw inside made his jaw/pump plummet through the linoleum, past the subfloor, and all the way to the creepy crawl space. JK, the spooky basement. 10. Grindex, what the fart? Baron thundered. The fridge was stocked only with produce and packages labeled 100% non-GMO with no chemicals you can't pronounce, which is basically everything since you majored in poli-sci at a low-tier state school, with every intention of going to law school afterward, because what else are you going to do with that degree? Plus, your dad is a lawyer and you really liked Legally Blonde when you were a kid, and everyone always tells you how much you love to argue, which is really just a nicer way of saying you're a disagreeable shit. But then you met someone who makes enough money so you don't have to work or pursue your education or think critically about anything other than soccer schedules and bath/bedtimes. But hey, what do we know? We're just applesauce. Baron went ballistic. He grabbed one of the dozens of wine boxes chilling on the faux granite island and chucked it across the room. With a loud plock smash, the box nailed the ceiling fan and burst, spraying Moscato all over the rug and launching a broken fan blade right through the coffee table. Grindex lost it, laughing so hard he made a weird snort noise that Baron had never heard before, but they made him think everything would be okay. Let's bail on this shit show and find some real food, Baron announced as he cranked the gas on the stovetop and lit one of Mrs. Bones' countless 4 decoration-only candles shaped like an anthropomorphic baby Christmas tree sleeping in a manger. Hey, come here. Sam, come here. As the duo stepped back outside, Mrs. Bones' house exploded so hard it actually imploded first. Stucco, vinyl, and hair scrunchies whizzed past Baron and Grindex, but not a piece touched them because they all fucking knew better. So, if Mrs. Bones was a mom, Grindex said as they strolled across the front lawn, that means she has or had kids, right? You think they were still in the house? A tiny skeleton hand clutching a rattle flew past Baron's head, and he and Grindex booked it in a major way. Right? Yes. Chapter 11. After running for what seemed like infinity, Baron and Grindex found themselves at the mouth of Monsteropolis. Literally. 2 bloated, hovering lips blocked their path. Behind them towered shadowy skyscrapers, neon highways, and misty mountains with foliage in the shape of sideburns. As Baron approached, the purple lips trembled and curled, revealing tremendous fangs covered in frothy white slime. Ooh, it moaned in a high, quavering voice like that of a grandpa/uncle whose lap you never fucking sit on. Why, whom do we have here? A whittle baby bard and his whittle baby strum? Come to serenade us with a mellifluous melody? Oh, fuck no, Baron growled as he instantly flew into a rage and flipped 3 pickup switches at the same time. Grindex burped, and from his output jet spewed a hologram doppelganger. The hologram burped and shot out a smaller hologram, which burped and shot out a smaller hologram, which belched and bombed up a hologram smaller to the 64th power. It was the fabled Pumpstroyshka dologram technique, taught to Grindex during his studies with the beautiful and mysterious Samoljakova of the Old Country, somewhere outside Boston. The hologram surrounded the mouth monster and looked pissed as fuck. Rightly impressed/terrified, it relented. Ooh, it moaned again, this time with a couple extra O's. Please excuse my impetuous impertinence. I did not realize you were beings of such preeminent pumpitude and with such magnificent musculature. A plop of drool oozed over the mouth's bottom lip, causing Baron's neck hairs to stand up in anything but a cool way. Let us pass, Grindex demanded with the confidence of someone backed by an army of his own hologram doppelgangers. Or my homies here will punch you so hard your nose will shoot out your butt and smell everything along the way. The monster cooed. Promises. Now Grindex's neck hairs, dust and cat hair lodged beneath the strings, stood on end too. As much as I would relish such an odoriferous outing, such a putrid peregrination, the mouse slavered, biting its lower lip in deep thought. I'm afraid I have neither a nose to hit nor a butt to sniff. Grindex ran biometric scans and confirmed the monster's claims, which was a bummer since he had just wasted his cool new line on it. The ambiguous mouth smiled kindly / creepily. But where are my manners? Please allow me to introduce myself. I am Halatosep, Esquire, gatekeeper and liaison between Monsteropolis and the Belowburbs. Belowburbs? Baron asked. The gate next to the portal we came through like 800 miles ago said we were already in Monsteropolis. You and they only wish, Halatosep sneered. For you see, 1,000 Sandudillion years ago, the throne of Samsarios Bumandios Mio VIII, a most terrible, dandruffy king, was usurped. But doesn't that sound awful? Let us say ascended by our glorious, dandruff-free present-day ruler, the Boogeyman. It was his divine fright and our manifest destiny. What followed, though I and the Knights of the Boogie Board assure you, is a subsequence and not a consequence of our current king's rightful, albeit perhaps anachronistic ascendancy, became known as the Weak Wiener Withdrawal. Oh, this is fucking killing me. During this period, Monsteropolis' lowest level inhabitants, monsters, eyeball pigeons, bipedal buttwalkers, uncarved pumpkins, and any lesser carved cucurbitaceae, fled to the safety and seclusion of the Belowburbs, though they believed they still reside in Monsteropolis, and if someone wrote Monsteropolis instead of Belowburbs on a piece of mail, it would probably get to them. They are not us, and we are not them. Baron started to ask if carved cupid whatevers were actually jackos, and if so, what the moorer ones were like, since the lesser ones were already pretty sweet. But then he remembered how bored / hungry / tired he was of watching a mouth monster drool all over the place, so all that went out the friggin' window. Listen, Halatoast Step, Baron snarled. We don't give a crap about history. Don't give a crap about biology, Halatosep sang. Fucking let us through, now. Baron stomped forward, ready to rock. The squadron of doppelgangers Everin had forgotten about followed, also ready to rock. What will you give me if I do? Halatosep asked, licking its purple lips with an even purpler tongue. How about a busted fat everything? Baron wielded Grindex and jet-booted into the sky. Grindex used the higher vantage point in his 8 spider eyes to look in all directions, hoping to catch a glimpse of bipedal buttwalkers farting their way across the foggy horizon. On Baron's cue, a thumbs up, the holograms began shredding in perfect unison, but through various effects pedals. One was super distorted, which shot out a laser that caused rock damage. One was heavy on reverb, which blasted out a water laser. One added chorus, an air laser. And the last was a death metal effect called Joppin' Jalapeno Garage Nucro Lavable Pizza Rolls, which fired a laser hotter than any Thai dish. Even if the restaurant's menu only goes from 1 to 4 spicy stars, but some puffy-nipped nerdo tells the waitress 13 stars in an attempt to impress her. While the doppelgangers wailed, Baron King chilled in midair, doing flips and generally looking awesome. Oh, my land! Halatosep yelled as the lasers slowly combined. The monster mouth knew it was screwed, but it didn't care since this was the most exciting thing that had happened in a while. Baron simultaneously picked the lowest and highest notes on Grindex, causing acid, ghost, ice, and school attacks to blast out of his fangs. The quad-damage laser started parting with the doppelgangers' lasers, and all their colors and elements merged into the ultimate laser, sick as fuck. It was black or white, whatever the presence of all colors is. Probably white, even though if you add every color of Easter egg dye to a glass, the water definitely turns black. But for some reason, it's different for light, and lasers are closer to light than Easter egg dye. The white/black Ultimo Octa laser slammed into Halatosep with the power of 8 X-rays, taking a podiatrist's office in a strip mall in the shittiest part of town. It scorched through the monster's lips, bubbling and popping infinity blisters. before burrowing deeper into its vile gums. Every root got canaled as micro-explosions and tiny breath strips rocketed Halatosip's teeth into the sky. The fangs missed Baron and Gurnex by a nanometer before flipping and falling back toward their previous host. No, yo, yo, yo. Wah, wah, wah. Halatosip gargle shrieked as the teeth punctured it 32 ways from Sunday. That's a reference to Killer Instinct, by the way. And the Chief Thunder level. It's like a reference to the soundtrack. Yo. Oh, hello. Yo, does this monster make you feel funny too? Gurnex whispered to Baron, who had stopped flying to look awesome and started flipping out of boredom. Yeah, man, Baron replied, not a fan. Let's wrap it up and hope Monsteropolis' food is worth this bullshit parade. They dropped from the sky and busted over to Halatosip, who was on the last few seconds of its game over countdown. Baron, the mouth coughed through blood and slime. What is it, weirdo? Baron snapped. And how do you know my name? Never you mind. To defeat King Boogie, you must... Wait, what? Weirdo? Yeah, you're a huge fuck weirdo. Gurnex and I had a full conversation about it. We both agreed. Wow, Halatosip stammered. Fine, just fine. I was gonna help you, but now you can forget it. You prurient pervert. You salacious scalawag. You big dumb jerk. I can't believe I ever loved you. Have fun dying. The mouth monster melted into a pile of puke and butt breath vapors. Baron didn't let on, but Halatosip's final words caused his scared/pump ratio to creep a little closer to 1. Still hanging in there. Got 6 now. Yo, did y'all have any friggin' trick-or-treaters tonight? We had exactly 0. We had like sweet setup, massive bowl of candy, and no trick-or-treaters. All right, yeah, more footnotes. I'm down. Yo, what up, John? All right. Chapter 12. So we're getting into the goodie here. Baron and Grindex bid farewell to the doppelgangers who went off to get jobs installing cable or something, then crossed the mush of taste buds that was Halatosip. As they took their first steps into Monsteropolis proper, the air became heavier and reeked of fog machines, paint, and latex. Dark glass towers and haunted subway stations lay closest on the horizon. Beyond them, asphalt streets regressed into cobblestone roads, where windows of ancient ghoul villages flickered softly in the night. In the farthest distance, where there were no roads, loomed primordial mountains whose hidden rivers and honeycomb passages teemed with blind crayfish, trolls, and troll-twos. The possibilities were as endless as they were intense, and thinking about them caused Baron to simultaneously pop a boner and get nervous dump feeling. Once both subsided, he and Grindex continued their journey. The blacklit highway leading downtown was lined on each side with jack-lanterns, and suddenly what Halatosip had said before dying made sense. These jackos were infinitely tougher/moorer than their below-burbs cousins. They were not only bigger and orangier, but they looked like they would chomp the crap out of any skeleton mom who tried to paint or bedazzle them. It was impossible to even imagine a skeleton mom in this environment, though, unless she was equally tough, like one who goes to her kid's soccer game with beer instead of Moscato and her BPA full thermos, queen chills in the folding chair of another mom without even asking, and laughs at any kid who trips over the ball, even if that kid is hers, and especially if the kid starts crying. Anyway, Baron was pumped/impressed. Monsteropolis had brought the pump in a major way and right off the friggin' bat. He assumed a power sense with Grindex and began playing an atmospheric monster ballad in homage. The song was fully instrumental and had enough spooky undertones to make it sound like something that would play in a commercial haunt, probably in an antechamber or actor-free graveyard where you could stop for a minute to smell the walls and get weirdly existential without any teenage workers chasing you away or patrons goofing on you to their hot girlfriends. There was rarely a time when Baron wasn't piss-pumped or piss/pumped, but for the moment he was also happy. Miles away, the boogeyman furrowed the brow beneath his crown. With the flick of a gnarled finger, An amorphous darkness emerged from behind his throne, and denim swooshed into the night. Chapter 13, the spookiest of chapters. After playing the last note of what had become a 75-minute interlude, Baron sheathed Grindax and continued the journey into downtown Monsteropolis. Once there, he found himself in the heart of a bustling cityscape. Black skyscrapers obfuscated the sky, monster cabs honked, street vendors shrieked, and bus station creeps with their hands in their pockets leered at passersby. Amongst all the chaos and nonsense, Baron spotted a diner and busted over to it. "Welcome to Scrape the Goody Off," chirped a hunchback hostess as the starving duo entered. "Just one tonight?" "2p," Baron corrected. He nodded to Grindax, but since Grindax was slung across his back and also a guitar, he just looked like he was fucking crazy, nodding at the air and saying shit like 2p. "You got it," the hunchback replied, unaffected because she was entirely used to crazy. She grabbed a handful of menus and led Baron to a nearby booth. All of the monster patrons turned their head/eye stalks to watch him as he confidently strode by. Some looked super pumped, but others looked super pissed. Baron ignored the latter group, as a wise fortune cookie once told him that if strangers look pissed at you, it's probably because you're so badass that it caused them to look at their own biceps, and then at yours, then regret every decision they've ever made, including especially the first day of middle school, when they gelled their hair super flat and loudly proclaimed it gerbil hair in front of the entire class, which I did in 4th grade. He was also too hungry to give a crap. "A waitress will be right with you, boys." Can't keep these voices straight. The hunchback hostess said as Baron and Grindax crashed into their booth and she turned to walk back to the front. "Hey, wait," Baron stopped her. "What does scrape the goody off even mean?" "Oh, it means when you scrape the goody off. Like when you scrape off all the goody." "The fart kind of answer is that?" Baron sputtered. The hunchback smiled, shrugged her hunch, and retreated back to her station. As soon as she left, a tangerine slug waitress slimed over to the booth. Peeking/jiggling over the apron plastered to her belly was a pair of 36X slug boobs, prominently displayed as a way of helping her earn bigger tips to feed her little slug babies at home. "Evening, sugars," she said in a hybrid accent that was part Creole, part Sluganese. "What can I get y'all?" "What have you got?" Baron barked. Grindax swallowed hard because the obvious answer was big, fat, planet-sized slug jugs. "Ah, you poor literate thing," the waitress said, taking Baron's crunginess, crabby/hungriness, as a sign that he couldn't read the menu. She bent over to point to various items. Baron knew better than to stare into the sun, but Grindax took the bait. His 8 eyes hyper-focused and he became hypnotized, pupils lightly dancing and swaying in time with the bulbous subject of the reflection. "We got brains in a cup," the waitress pointed, "boogers by the bowl, spider egg souffle, eyelash stuffed ravioli and plum sauce, baby bird beaks on toast, and today only, our KB special." Baron chose the special since it was the last thing the waitress mentioned, and he had a super short attention span. Grindax blurted out, "Blue bubblegum snow cone," because it was all he could think to say other than slug jug souffle a la Giglet. The waitress wrote down both orders and left, leaving Grindax feeling pumped that maybe blue bubblegum snow cones were a secret menu item, and now she would be impressed/turned on by the fact that he knew about them. Or even if they weren't a secret menu item, maybe she dug him so much that she would personally make him one, include at the bottom of the cone a mini SD card loaded with pics/vids of her slug jugs, organized into folders by outfit, lighting, and slime glisten. Before he could continue down that rabbit hole, the metal kitchen doors exploded open and a crazed, obese chef stormed into the dining room wielding 2 meat cleavers. Deja fuck vu. Chapter 14. "All right," a voice seemed to yell, even though the chef's mouth didn't move. "Who here order my KB special?" Baron slowly but super confidently stood up, fret fingers at the ready. "Yo," he growled. "Sup?" "Syrup?" the chef seemed to shout, his eyes rolling around in his head. He shambled toward Baron's booth. "Oh wait, hold up. Yeah, like give me like 1 minute, yeah." Oh, cool. Oh, shit. All right, hold up. All right, here we go. My fish towel is sticking out. All right, a voice seemed to yell, even though the chef's mouth didn't move. Who here order my KB special? Baron slowly but super confidently stood up, fret fingers at the ready. Yo, he growled. Sup? Syrup! The chef seemed to shout, his eyes rolling around in his head. He shambled toward Baron's booth. All of the monster patrons in the diner watched intensely. What the bitch are you talking about? Baron garbled as he was battling a depump-bilitating mix of confused/pissed/hungry. And how are you talking about anything without moving your mouth? Why, that's not my mouth, the chef said while shaking and pointing at his bloated rosacea dome. This here my mouth. He pulled aside his greasy apron and ripped open his greasier shirt. Where his belly button should have been, there was a hideous rictus. It twisted into a smile and shrieked, and this my KB special. Footnote. We were at my buddy's house and we were ordering pizza, and his dad was like, when we were on the phone, his dad was like, hey, tell him the special, son, tell him the special. And we're like, what the fuck does that even mean? And his initials were KB, so then it became a running joke, whereas the KB special. So anytime you get pizza, tell him the special, son. Gotta get the KB special. The mouse/chef's stomach split wide open, and a quintoxillion putrid earwigs and soft-shelled crabs spilled across Baron and Grundax's table. Baron insta-vomed, coating the fetid spread in chunks of butterfinger and bile. Oh, ho, ho, the chef laughed, and there's your syrup. Baron reeled and fell back into the booth. Vomiting on an already empty stomach had left him too hungry to deliver another ass beating, even though the chef needed it bad. Grundax knew that the onus fell upon his frets. He unwound his low E and A strings and wailed a quick power chord riff on the remaining four. Ice crystals slowly formed on the chef's apron, but they were immediately shaken off. So, you like music, do ya? The monster chuckled. He motioned to the hunchback hostess who punched a jukebox by the entrance. I like music too. Let's boogie. Monster doo-wop began pulsing into the diner. A vampire who sounded more Jewish or Jamaican than Transylvania crooned, in the still of the night, I gave you a bite, 'cause I love blood so. Promise you'll never stop the flow in the still of the night. It was a lazy as fuck parody, but it managed to drown out the rest of Grundax's attacks. He and Baron were completely helpless and at the mercy of the super original obese chef/mouth monster with the tattoo of a skeleton mom on his left bicep. Chapter 15. All right, here we go. Right before Baron and Grundax succumbed to the growing tide of earwigs, crabs, and vom, the chef's stomach mouth shot out a buffalo chicken pizza with buffalo chicken pizza bagels on top, and then a blue bubblegum snow cone the size of a basketball on a traffic cone. Grundax, Baron muttered on the brink of starvation. Are you seeing this too, or is it some kind of fuck mirage? Before Grundax could respond, the chef did. Nah, mirage, friend. Dat there's the goodie. What the fuck is goody? Whoa, there's a typo there. What that fuck is goody? I've revised this like 500 times and I've never seen that. Goody wash your scrape off. The chef spiked a spatula into Vom Mountain, turned, and walked back into the kitchen. The monster patrons turned their attention back to their meals, again filling the diner with the sounds of silverware clinks and satisfied grunts. Baron and Grundax stared at each other, totally bewildered. They hesitantly grabbed the spatula, scraped the za and snow cone onto their plates, and took a cautious first bite. The puke is gross as fuck, Baron said after some deliberation, but the za is good as fuck. Same, Grindex replied, but snow cone for the second part, not za. The two ate in silence for a bit. I guess that's what they mean, huh? Baron eventually remarked. About what? Scrape the goodie off, like scrape off all the good stuff, leave the shitty stuff behind? I guess so. Why not scrape the shitty off? Maybe they're going for a family vibe. Well, then scrape the grossy off. It's all the same. You're scraping bomb off whatever you want to eat. And there's way more bad stuff than good. I guess they're choosing to focus on the pump instead of the slump. Baron felt a twinge of guilt, and the two went back to eating in silence. After finishing their meals, the duo dropped some cash on the table and booked it before the waitress came back, just in case After finishing their meals, the duo dropped some cash on the table and booked it before the waitress came back, just in case Monsteropolis' diners didn't take Earth money. Back outside and fully repumped/reprimed, they decided to head back to the Blowburbs and see if the portal had reopened. It was possible that it hadn't, and it was equally possible that Little Billy's birthday party would be over even if it had. Regardless, they needed to try. They had to stay pumped. They had to scrape the goodie off. But as soon as Baron stepped into the street, a vine ensnared his mountainous trapezius muscles and a shrill voice rasped, "Hello, baby!" So 2 footnotes. Scrape the goodie off is a grandma reference. When I had braces, I couldn't eat shit. So like she'd make like oven waveable pizzas and I couldn't even eat them because my teeth hurt so bad. So she would say, "Just scrape the goodie off, boy." And she would scrape off all the cheese and like pepperoni and good stuff and just onto the plate, which seemed absurd at the time, but then like you'd eat it and it would be fucking good. Oh yeah, and Hello Baby is a NES Monster Party reference. Like some of the monsters when you go in, they're like, "Hello, baby." Chapter 16. Baron spun around and found himself face to plant with a Venus flytrap prostitute monster. Her flytrap lips were artificially plumped with chlorophyll and painted bright red, and the trigger hairs lining the inside of her mouth were pierced and cecily coiffed. Her stem was bare, her curvy bulb packed tightly into patent leather, and each of her dozen roots were a stiletto boot. "Whoa," Baron said as his newly popped boner slammed into her and projected himself backward. Her vines reached out and ensnared him, pulling him close again. "Where you headed, baby?" she asked. Her mouth made a super annoying clapping sound with each word, and her breath smelled like mummified flies. Baron's boner/pump deflated. "We're headed to an awesome party back on Earth," Baron snarled, "and you're not invited." "Come on, baby," the VFPM moaned, slapping a vine into Baron's crotch, which he thought would be hot but actually just hurt. "I like to party too. How you want to party with me? Table shower? Tombstone Powerhouse Pumpkin Blumpkin? Get your guitar in on it? Have a couple's Tombstone Powerhouse Pumpkin Blumpkin with the nightmare ending?" "I don't know what any of that bullshit is," Baron replied, "but I imagine it'll make me all red and itchy. So pass." She tightened her vine grip around Baron's peen, and her stem grumbled in hunger. "Ooh, baby," she sighed, her drooling maw opening wide. "Just slam that ping pong between these leaves and let your girl dissolve it." "What the fuck? No, and stop calling me baby. I hate babies." Baron twisted her vines into a giant knot and punched them like a tetherball. It slammed into the prostie's mouth, and she instinctively clapped shut and began digesting her own arms. "Humph!" she gagged while flailing around the street and disappointing her parents. "Hasn't anyone told you it's rude to talk with your mouth chlorophyll?" Baron chuckled. "Chlorophylled? I don't know. Yo, Grindex, you know what to do." "Yeah, man," Grindex replied. "I'm on it." He had absolutely no idea what to do. Never wanting to disappoint, though, he started humming and waving a couple strings around. Out of nowhere, a City of Monsteropolis garbage truck careened down the street and slammed into the BFPM, leaving behind a grease stain comprising the pollen of 37 dude plants. And that's a Clerks reference. "Beauty," Baron cheered. "Good job, man. All I needed was help picking the better pun, but shit. He petted Grindax's pickups. Anytime, Grindax replied, totally confused but happy to get the pets. The garbage truck screeched to a halt. The driver, a beer-bellied troll with greased back hair and greased-on wife beater, rolled down his window and in a New Jerseyan accent yelled, "Hey, the fuck is going on over here?" "You just ran over a Venus flytrap prostitute monster and it was all your fault," Baron replied, shifting the blame in case the driver wasn't cool. But he definitely was cool. "Ha!" The troll snorted, causing his beer belly to jiggle and gold necklace to clang. "A VFPM, huh? Or as we used to call him back at the docks, an old plant-based penis punching bag. Ho! But hey, no matter. Just leave it to a garbage monster to take out a bit of garbage." He threw a switch in the truck and the dumping bed raised. 2 tons of acid garbage sludge spilled onto the street. It looked/smelled awesome, like radioactive pecan pie guts. Baron shredded a thrash solo as the municipal waste dissolved the VFPM grease stain. And that's a municipal waste thrash metal reference. While Baron played, the garbage monster wailed air guitar and rocked out hard, kicking his steering wheel and honking the horn kind of off time with the solo, but it was okay because it was done with unadulterated, fully pensioned pump. Is Baron, and that's a reference, this is a stupid story, but that's a reference when I was a kid and I saw Trans-Siberian Orchestra with my mom. And the whole time there's this like obese redneck dude behind us. And he kept kicking the back of my mom's seat and fucking wailing air guitar through the whole show. And it was really annoying. But in retrospect, it's funny. As Baron and Finney bit the final note, the garbage monster slammed a cigar into his mouth and ashed it in one puff. He gave a thumbs up, spun out his tires for a minute, and blazed off into the night while shouting, "Fucking metal all the way!" Baron watched the truck's blacklight taillights fade into the darkness. He thought about how awesome it would have been if that dude had been his dad. How awesome it would have been if anyone had been his dad. You okay, man?" Grindex asked. Baron stared into the inky sky. Orange clouds and eyeball vultures solemnly cruised by against a backdrop of lonely blood stars and social anxiety gore planets. Everyone, all 3 of you still with me now? Awesome. All right. Mrs. Bones, I think it's time. Yeah, you can definitely do the next couple of chapters. Some tapping out.
$17.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey.
Mrs. Bones.
I think Mrs. Bones got lost along the way. We just ran out of time, so this is her, I don't know, cool sister who got some cat ears that she's really digging. So, all right. Chapter 17. I'm not going to do any of these voices as good as Clay. "Baron, fucking wake up." Baron's eyes shot open. He was still staring out at the sky, only now he was on his back and his head hurt like a mug on a Monday. "Whoa," he muttered. "What the fart happened? Must have crashed out." He backflipped up and noticed that he was lighter than he should have been. Grindex wasn't there. "At your 6, man," his buddy called from somewhere. "You 2? 18? Friggin' look out." He has 2 voices now. Baron turned just in time for his jaw to catch a mailbox-sized fist. He twisted and flew through the air, slamming down hard before finding himself staring at the sky again. "Whack, whack, whack," a deep voice laughed. "Do a barrel." Baron tried flipping up again, but his right arm was wrecked. He ate dirt. "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wing damage," the voice taunted. Since he couldn't flip, Baron stood up like a normal dude, but a normal dude who was fully pissed primed. He turned to face his new arch rival, a stout, barrel-chested caveman monster wearing jeans. Jean everything. Hat, shirt, jacket, pants, shoes, shoelaces, you name it. Baron swallowed hard upon the realization that he was dealing with a true maniac. But then he saw that the caveman held Grindax in a denim anti-pump web, so he spit hard instead. Have a good nap, the caveman chuckled. You're fucking dead, Baron yelled so intensely that his voice cracked. So dead sounded more like dead, or maybe even dad. It was brutal, but he couldn't help it. Seeing Grindax confined stressed him out. Plus, his throat was mega dry since he had just woken up. Plus, stuff like that happens to everyone at some point, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But it was to the caveman. Har har, oh my fuck, he gasped. I can't handle it. The way I heard you busted into Monsteropolis, I thought you were gonna be tough. But now I see you're nothing but a little baby bitch. A little baby Bichon, actually. Chilling in old grandma's purse. Smelling like butterscotch and spearmint. Shameful. Anyway, King Boogie needs your guitar. He also needs you to stop fucking around with all the citizens. See ya, idiot. The caveman slung a hoverboard, a real one, not a bullshit one, off his back, grabbed Grindax by the neck, which should never be done to a guitar, and took off going 6,500 miles per second. Baron sat on the ground and wondered what the fuck just happened. He had never felt so depressed and powerless. He wanted to melt or disintegrate or explode or something, even himself, especially himself. Suddenly, a hamburger-shaped constellation formed in the cosmos, and an internal voice bellowed, "Get pumped or die trying." It was Pump Prophecy 316. Baron furrowed his eyebrows so hard they tickled his nostrils. He shouted super deeply, but not in an overcompensating way, and used his good arm to do a push-up, handstand flip, launching himself into the sky where he grabbed a pair of eyeball vultures to stay afloat. An ordinary weaker man would become distracted because they just felt like boobs, but Baron remained hyper-focused. He spanked the eyeball vultures to make them flap their leathery wings faster, and then quickly blazed after his best friend. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. You want a fruit snack?
I'm okay. Do you want a fruit snack? After remembering that he was wearing jet boots, Baron ditched the eyeball vultures and quickly followed the hoverboard's chemtrail to Monsteropolis Community College. He found the caveman chilling behind a gym, kneeling carefully to avoid getting grass stains on his denim everything, and awkwardly trying to play Grindax for a succubus cheerleader. "Yeah, babe," the caveman said, plunking the same two chords, E and... I don't play guitar, so I'm going to say E and E M. I don't know. Is that E flat? E sharp? Over and over. He sounded a lot different talking to the chick than when he'd talked crap to Baron. His voice was way higher, and each sentence had an incompetent question intonation. "After my internship with the Knights of the Boogie Board is finished, Dean, the Beanhead, and I are totally starting a band. It's going to be like a death metal instrumental thing, but with like a progressive electro swamp synth vibe." "Oh, Maniac Johnny," the succubus soothed. "You're so cool, and your face is so symmetrical. Sure, and I love that you have an internship with the government. So even though you're in a metal band now, once you graduate, you can wear salmon polos and buy me an entry-level luxury SUV. I'll need one to drive our bowl-cut babies to Tai Chi, which they'll call Tai Chi Latte, because I'll always order a chai tea. Oh." Latte before taking Tai Chi. Chai tea, Tai Chi. "You know, babe, what else? Oh, and I just love the way your denim rustles." "Yeah, there it is," Johnny said contently. He dropped Grindax and began rhythmically thrusting and wrestling. Grindax was relieved to get a break from the caveman trying to play him, and super relieved that his face fell down so he wouldn't have to see the denim thrusts. Unfortunately, he could still hear them. I'm hoping to mic with Den when we play our first. I'm hoping to mic with Den when we play our first gig. Johnny continued, and he liked and really make sure it sounds solid on all the monitors. Grindax began to eat dirt in hopes that it had low LD50. The succubus scooted closer to Caveman. Totally. That'd be like so hot. Say, Johnny, do you think I could be in your band? Oh, I don't know, babe, Johnny replied cavalierly. That's a toughie. What could you play other than denim flute? He wiggled his fingers at his crotch and intensified the thrusting. Well, nothing, she giggled. But I bet I can sing. I'm probably really good at it. I can see that. Your throat's pretty banging, so I don't know, yeah. I'm sure DTBH won't mind. Maybe instead of instrumental band, we could do like a chill folk thing instead. Baron had heard enough. He dropped out of the sky directly on top of the chick, squishing her into a pancake topped with pom-pom berries. Blood and succubus juices, Long Island iced tea mostly, sprayed all over Maniac Johnny, but not a droplet touched Grindax. Baron made sure of that. The caveman monster shot to his feet, creating a sonic boom of denim. Bro, my check! You squashed my check, he yelled. His voice cracking big time as he fluctuated between tough voice and baby voice. My guitar and best friend! You stole my guitar and best friend! Baron mimicked, using the babier version of Johnny's voice, but still refusing to say bro. Heh, so good, Grindax snickered. I'm figuring out Grindax's voice. Right, I guess I did, huh? Johnny said coldly. Well, then now we're even. He lifted Grindax from the ground, raising a knee, and brought him down hard. Even Grindax's neck of twisted nails was no match for Maniac Johnny's knee of woven denim. Then there was a sickening snap. Then silence. Baron's heart dropped into his boots, burrowed through them, and kept going until it reached Monsteropolis' version of China. All the Chinese monsters were so struck by the heart's sadness that they sang songs and told stories about it for generations. But due to what scientists / preschool teachers had dubbed the telephone effect, within weeks, everyone was crying over a mythical earthworm warrior who killed his dog after failing to catch it on a marshmallow pillow. Chapter 19.
Tell them the reference.
Earthworm Jim?
2.
2. See? I know video games. Chapter 19. You guys, did I lose all of you? 5. We get 3 thumbs up. I can't really read. Baron rushed to Grindax's side. Busted, the caveman monster laughed. Like, actually busted in half. He dead. Baron morphed every molecule of his body into pure fiery hate, and Jet Boot launched himself at Maniac Johnny. He torched through the denim like a crazy lava arrow. The flesh went even easier. As Baron blazed through Johnny's torso, he started chomping all over the place, taking out chunks of flesh / heart / bone until his head, covered in blood like a crazy vulture, exploded through the other side. Baron then swung his knees down, smashing the caveman in the crotch and exploding any chance he had of ever polluting the world with little denim babies. Johnny shriek barfed with such force that it blasted Baron out of his chest cavity. He struck a perfect landing, covered in blood, puke, and pumped. It was a hollow victory. He rushed over to Grindax, who was dying, or, quote, frying eggs, as Baron called it, to help mitigate the pain reality of the situation. Dude, Baron cried as he frantically picked up the 2 pieces that were once his best friend in the universe. Syrup, Grindax choked. Oh man, nice callback, Baron replied. You know it. Grindax rasped. Anyway, I think I'm out. No way, Jose, Baron said with a smile. Grindax gave him a confused look. Callback, Baron urged. Really? Yeah, remember the first chef monster? Nah, not really, but crap, man. First chef monster. Today was pretty sweet, huh? Big time, Baron said, running his fingers over Grindax's frayed and broken strings. They were beyond tuning. The duo sat in silence as Grindax's breathing became less labored and less frequent. Good night, my precious homie, Baron whispered. Thank you. Friggin' weird, Grindax replied while narrowing his spider eyes at Baron. Baron started to chuckle, but he stopped when the 8 orbs faded from black light to straight black. For hours, Baron wept like he didn't give a crap because he didn't. The tears washed away the blood, the pain of the past. He had just experienced the biggest drop of the most blackout pump roller coaster of his life, and now the first incline lay ahead of him. He'd have to crest it if he wanted to reach that sweet vertical loop. With Grindax's part slung over his shoulder, Baron turned towards Monsteropolis Community College. He needed to find a necromancer.
Do we need to jump back in?
Sure, if you want to. Bye.
Do you know where the like a black light is?
Yeah, we can't plug them into this room. Bye, guys. We can't plug them into this room.
No, it's 3-prong.
Yeah, I can. We have twinkle lights. We got these.
And it's fine.
Those are
Yeah, you can mess with them if you want. Oh, hell yeah, those are actually really sweet. Thank you. Miss Bones will be back. Chapter 20. Monsteropolis CC's front doors exploded open as Baron busted into the main hallway. At first glance, it looked like a normal enough monster school. There were rusted/slimy lockers, screaming eyeball clocks, janitors wheeling mop buckets filled with guts, and countless monsters of various shapes, sizes, and coolnesses. The nerdiest monster is a clan of emaciated ghoul geeks huddled in a far corner, gnawing on bones and staring longingly at monster babes. The babes were decomposed of cheerleader succubi and mummies wrapped so tightly you could see their areola bumps. Each of the babes was attached at the hip, some of them literally, to a party/jock monster. Swamp creatures with bleach-tipped fins and Frankenstein monsters in piecemeal varsity jackets. Ordinary fucking monsters. I hate them. That's a Repo Man quote. Baron thought. He kept scanning until he found what he was looking for, the goth monsters. The majority of them were baby-ass vampires wearing eyeliner and black lipstick, and rocking such unconfident posture that their fangs dipped below their shoulders. The rest comprised werewolves with dyed black fur and full finger rings, ghouls who were just cool/rich enough to not have to hang with the ghoul geeks, and overweight zombies who weren't goth at all, but merely wore black to hide their bellies. Baron didn't see any witches or warlocks, your typical necromancers, chilling within that island of misfit monsters, so he busted over to ask where they might be. Hey man, Baron said as he approached one of the cooler-looking werewolf dudes. The werewolf looked up, narrowed his eyes, and blew a massive cloud of vape in Baron's face. Normally, Baron would have smashed the kid's fucking face before the vape dissipated, but he needed to play it cool if he wanted Grindex back in one piece. Thanks for the vape share, homie, Baron coughed. NP, man, the werewolf said in a voice that sounded like a high baby lost in a bat cave. Great plumage on that one. It's V-Vape's latest juice, Eldritch Taint. Yeah, I can totally taste the mold, Baron said, swallowing back a rush of mom. Sweet, rad, the werewolf replied softly. He looked back at the ground. So, Baron ventured, do you know any necromancers around here? Yeah, the werewolf replied sleepily while still not looking up. I think Layla's into the mance. I've seen her bring back bugs and crap. Discontinued sodas, little stuff, but it doesn't always turn out right. One time she brought back sliced red, but it wasn't in the black can. Another time she brought back a petrified belch owl. It started belching like crazy. I don't know if that's what they normally do. It probably is because their name. But the belch is fucking reeked. I mean like hot grandma egg farts. Not like the grandma was hot, but the farts were. So I guess grandma egg hot farts. Grandma hot egg farts. Baron choked back another torrent of bomb. Anyway, I was vaping my favorite juice at the time. Covered couch in what is most likely a haunted house because the clawfoot tub in the upstairs bathroom has an octopus in it. It's also by V-Vapes. I can write it down if you want. Oh, remember, Baron lied. Sweet, rad. So anyway, now I can't vape that flavor. Damn, Baron said, relieved that the gross yet boring story was over. Sucks. Yeah, it's tragic. The werewolf sighed with a dramatic hair flip. I doubt I could even, vape share it at this point. He said the last bit super awkwardly, so Baron got pumped thinking he had taught the werewolf a new term, and now he was using it because he thought Baron was cool. So, where's Layla now? Baron asked. I think she's in necromancy, Ashley. Ashley? Actually. Dude, Baron said, losing his patience. What room? 13. The werewolf started before he was cut off by a vampire with hot pink bangs gelled into inverted crosses that covered both of his eyes. Hey man, don't tell this poser where Layla is, the vampire whined. He's probably a pervert or a cop. A perv cop poser. How repugnant. Baron's capillaries, veins, and other blood parts filled with rage. He ran every calculation in his head to see if he could kill this kid without scaring off the werewolf, who seemed sensitive, or drawing the attention of a bunch of professor monsters. Thinking about crabby teachers yelling at him when they didn't understand the situation hit too close to home, though, and Baron just friggin' lost it. He grabbed the vampire's bangs and ripped them off his scalp, turned them right side up, and slammed them back into place. The vampire shrieked as the crosses burned through his eyelids and wild eyes, cat-eye contacts, which he claimed to have bought to make him look sexier to the other goth monster dudes, but that was just a ploy to make him look sexier to the goth monster chicks. Baron wasn't finished. He slammed Grindax's broken guitar neck into the vampire's chest and hammered it in with his pickups. The makeshift stake blasted its way through the monster's back, taking his heart along for the ride. The vampire fell to his knees and blindly scrambled for his heart in an attempt to cram it back into place, but it was too late. Dude was ash. The hallway exploded in his screams as monster students and adjunct professors tore around in every direction. Oh crap, Baron muttered as he came back to reality from his violent catharsis. He needed to find Layla and get out of there ASAP. All he knew was that she was in room 13-something. He looked down the hallway. Every room was 13-something, because it was a monster school. Chapter 21. Baron busted into the nearest classroom. A skeleton sat atop an exercise bike, cranking his legs like crazy. Attached to the wheels were two wires which terminated on the nipples of a giant bat monster. Ooh, do come in, the bat called to Baron, but he was friggin' out of there. He tried the next door. A fish monster in a polka dot dress stood at the front of the classroom. She turned abruptly at his intrusion. What is the meaning of this? She demanded. Baron scanned the room. It was full of witches, warlocks, and a few elder bog monsters. The day's assignment was written on the chalkboard. 1031, you know it. Show your work. Revive each of the following: Nucrewave Vomroach, Tropical Pee-Pee Sucker, OG Ghoul-Aid, packet, not pouch. And now the addition would be Scary Blackberry instead of the like bullshit Scary Berry one, which isn't even purple and it's like not even full shug. It's just dumb. Baron knew he was in the right place. He started picking up some papers off a nearby desk and shuffling them to look official. The principal would like to see Layla. Ooh, the class erupted. They turned their gaze to the middle desk where an insanely hot witch babe shrank in her seat. She had pale skin, black hair, black eyeshadow, black lipstick, black nail polish, rad jugs, and a Critters from the Commode 2 shirt that she wore because she dug the sequel more than the original, not just because it was more obscure. She was the kind of babe you would take to Taco Bell before busting over to Party City to look for Halloween stuff, even though it's only May. A real keeper. Baron insta-popped a boner and used a stack of papers to cover it, which meant holding them super far away. Layla stood up and started moving toward him when a giant fin covered in red nail polish grabbed her by the shoulder. Layla's not going anywhere until I finish my lesson, the teacher screamed, spitting bits of fish food / feces all over Baron. Now pocket! Baron's boner evaporated into a fine mist and he plopped down at an empty desk. Layla returned to hers. All right, class, the teacher began. Where was I before I was so rudely interrupted? Ah, yes. Open your necromancy nomicons to page 138. No, Baron interrupted. You can't tell me what to do. He leapt out of his seat, boner insta-reboned. Oh yeah, quick footnotes. The before I was so rudely interrupted was a gym teacher when I was in first grade because I was trying to show everyone a magic trick in the middle of class and she was not having it. I can't or I mayn't, the teacher laughed condescendingly, shaking her pencil earrings at someone. Probably her cat sitter or mom gave her so she could be the fun professor. Baron realized how utterly bullcrap it was that he sat down just because the teacher told him to, even slash especially a fish monster teacher, and that he must have been programmed from an early age to do whatever a bunch of idiots said, as long as they were older than him and in an ostensible position of power. But he wasn't having it anymore. He summoned all the nano pump bots swimming around in his bloodstream and inputted cheat codes to make them rewire the crap out of his brain. Suddenly, he was filled with so much pump that the classroom began to spin. He ripped off his shirt and threw a dozen stink bomb peg winders directly at the teacher. They shattered all over her, slicing apart her scales, eyes, and fish lips, and mixing her blood with whatever chemicals are in stink bombs. "Fart!" the teacher screamed, either as a general exclamation or because that's what she now smelled like. The class shrieked and ran for the door. When they opened it, their screams combined with all the other screams in the hall to create stereo screams, which got Baron even more pumped. He activated his jet boots and barrel roll rocketed into the crowd to search for Layla, but she was nowhere to be found. And all that's a reference to senior year of high school when this friend came in from out of state and he busted and he was like, "Oh, the principal would like to see," and then he fucking smashed stink bombs everywhere in the classroom and then got arrested. Chapter 22. "Oh wait, she's right here," Baron said as he spotted her running away with the werewolf ape monster. Baron blazed over the crowd and grabbed Layla around the waist, scooping her into the air. As she left the ground, she felt scared, but also intrigued. She didn't know who this stink bomb bad boy was or where he was taking her, but looking into his manic eyes told her that whatever the destination, it would be intense. She began to relax and go along for the ride when suddenly the werewolf ape monster broke her spell. "Layla," he vaped. "That's him. That's who killed Count Boussois. That's the perv cop poser." "Oh, fucking narcass," Baron said disgustedly. He lowered a jet boot and maxed out a thruster, torching a hole through the werewolf's chest and releasing a plume of hot grandma egg fart vapor that blasted Baron and Layla out the front door of the school. The two kept flying until all the monster students, professors, and cafeteria workers, including a bunch of obese chef monsters, below them transformed into neon marshes and silence. Well, almost silence. Layla bit and shrieked through the entire flight. Baron knew he needed to get her somewhere chill/secluded so he could calmly explain that he wasn't a perv cop poser and he only wanted her to bring his best friend back to life. In the distance, he spotted a giant mountain with foliage in the shape of sideburns. He decided it was as good of a place as any. As soon as he flew over and set Layla down on the mountain's peak, though, she insta-booked it. "Yo, wait," Baron called after her. "I just need your help. I don't want to do anything gross to you. I mean, I do, but not if you're not down." Baron wasn't great at talking to people or monsters, and ordinarily this would have been when Grindex reminded him to chill. But Grindex was dead, which was the whole point of this thing. So Baron chased after Layla while screaming about how he definitely wasn't going to rape her. She bailed down the mountain, tearing frantically in and out of the sideburn-esque vegetation. Baron did his best to keep up, but when he finally reached a clearing, she was gone. He was just about to give up and dedicate his life to monkhood when he heard her scream, "Perv, help!" Baron blazed after the voice, wondering if she was talking about him, like, "There's a perv after me, so someone help," or calling to him, like, "Yo, perv, because that's all I know you as, and perv is faster to say than perv cop poser, and PCP may be too confusing because of the drug, help." When he spotted her, he was pumped to see there was more of the latter, but bummed to see a giant rat monster dragging Layla down a black hole in the side of the mountain. Baron raced after Layla. Oh, chapter 23. Baron raced after Layla and the rat monster, following them into the abyss. Once inside, he found himself in a labyrinth of dark passages. Man, this is where the party goes off. Beady red rat eyes glowed in every alcove, and Baron knew he was F-bombed. The rats crawled out of their hiding places and surrounded him. They all wore sweet punk clothes, like leather jackets and jean vests covered in rat-related patches about spicy cheese or mousetraps or whatever. One of the rats, probably the leader because he was 7 feet tall and the rest were closer to 5 feet, pushed his way into the circle. He rocked a massive beer gut, massive mohawk, and shades so black the lenses showed you alternate dimensions if you stared into them. Baron stared and saw himself reflected as a chubby weakling. He was playing video games by himself in a white-walled, white-carpeted room, his belly covered in cookie crumbs and teardrop stains. He wished the vision was fictitious, but it was factitious, or factual. Factitious apparently means something different. But what Baron saw in the shades had actually happened. They were the dark days before he started lifting and before he found Grindex. He had almost forgotten the dark days, but now they were right in front of him, with a mirrored version right in front of the rat monster. Well, what do we got here, boys? The rodent guffawed, his rat teeth grill clinking with each laugh. A little fucking nerd game, baby? You lost, little fucking nerd game, baby? Baron shook his head to clear the image, but he remained frazzled and at minimal pump. Dude, where's the babe? He demanded as toughly as possible. What you know about babes, little baby? The rat laughed. The rest of the rats laughed, and their slightly cheaper grills caused a metal cacophony to echo through the cave. Lot, Baron snapped. What do you know about babes, big baby? Ha! That the best you got? The rat snorted. Shit, man, get you some coffee. That shit's weak. You phoning it in like whoever controlling your verbiage hit the wall, relying on some crutch-ass shit, honky-ass shit. Well, Baron struggled, but allow me to introduce myself. Cho rude ass coming in here asking about babes without even so much as a hello first. The name is Deshaun Bitches, a.k.a. King Rat. King Rat! King Rat! King Rat! Roared all the other rats except for one who looked kind of fucked up. He shouted, Ring Cat. You here in my kingdom of Sideburn Mountain, King Rat said as he waved a scaly, bejeweled paw around. And there ain't no nerd games here, little nerd game baby. So I'm thinking you must be lost. I'm not a nerd game baby, Baron growled, swinging Grindex's pieces over his shoulder and into his hands. Not anymore. The name is Baron. Baron von Babegetter, a.k.a. King Rip. He made up the last bit since he felt like he needed some extra credibility, especially while holding a broken guitar, surrounded by rat monsters and when Layla might be in earshot. It didn't work. Ho ho! King Rat chuckled. Well, baby von Bedwetter, you about to be King R.I.P. Chapter 24. The rats exploded in laughter and began high-fiving, slapping tails, and pretending to hold each other back. You said that right on the tee for me, King Rat wheezed. I said, what? There that ball go. All the monsters narrowed their eyes and nodded in deep thought. Baron had no idea what was going on. See, you gotta be quick, King Rat preached. That's rule number 1 of getting babes. Rule number 0 is you don't go around saying shit like, my name is King Rip. Hi, my name is King Rip, King Rat mimicked using his white breadiest voice. How are you this fine day, ma'am? Would you like to buy a vacuum cleaner? The rat monsters figuratively lost their shit. The kind of fucked up one, literally. King Rat continued, now that's you. And babes don't go in for that shit. Babes don't go in for broke-ass dudes holding broke-ass guitars. But those are the only freebies you're gonna get. You wanna know more? You gotta buy my book, Deshaun Bitches, Guide to Getting Bitches. That why you here? You here to buy my book? No, Baron snapped. I already told you, I know how to get babes. I'm awesome at it. And I'm here to get the one you kidnapped. Oh, hell no, King Rat said under his breath. That man say, audacious, ostentatious. Nah, man, she mine now. Chapter 9 of DSBG TGB, verse 11. If you can't woo, kidnap them. Put them in the trunk. They always come around. King Rat winked and his shade showed Layla chained to a throne made of cheese and tinfoil. See? King Rat sneered. She like it. She like it. A strand of drool fell from his grilled snout. Baron became pissed and then doubly pissed. The fact that he now cared about some chick on top of all the other bullcrap going on in his life was too much to handle. Even with the odds and rat monsters stacked against him, he took his shot. He swung Grindax's body/neck in the air like nunchucks and charged. Ha! King Rat chortled. This boy think he is samurai. He lifted his tree trunk-sized tail into his paws and prepared to swat the incoming Baron like a gleaming white wiffle ball. Let's see. He's still hanging in there. Oh shit, dude!
I'm very humbled to meet you, Claire Roman. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Elzatar, and I am a huge fan of the Spooky Basement book, Welcome to Monsteropolis. Now, I have a personal bone to pick with you, if my nose was not falling off. I love the Spooky Basement books, but I do not like the depiction of my cousin elves dying of roller coaster attendance. Aside from that, this is Halloween. We put the Christmas business aside. This is my favorite chapter, and I would be honored to read it for you, Mr. Oslo.
Go for it, man.
Thank you, sir. Chapter 25 from my favorite book, Spooky Basement. Welcome to Monsteropolis by Cleast Roman. Before he make fun of the elves. King Rat swung his tail at Baron, who used Garandax's body as a skateboard deck to 1080. Hand busy over the incoming appendage. He flipped Garandax's neck. The tail as he launched over it, ensnaring it 500 times with razor wire low E-string. As Baron landed with a swift yank, King Rat flew into the air. A shower of blood and scales followed, spraying across the cave walls and painting them a kind of semi-gloss, kind of eggshell magenta. It was nice. King Rat threw back his head in an agonized shriek, launching his shades off his eyes and onto Barrett's. Barrett hyper-focused through the multi-dimensions and saw King Rat for what he truly was. Not a getter of bitches, but a bitch himself. Reflected in the shades was a younger, fatter, non-mohawked King Rat. He awkwardly knelt on the edge of a bed, and in his crotch area, his limp, microscopic Peter, a hot slug chick who looked like a younger, slimier, more mandarin-less tangerine version of the waitress from Scrape the Goodie Off, lay naked in front of King Rat. Her nipples were as flat as pancakes, indicating that she wasn't even half turned on by his little Peter. No, screamed the current version of King Rat, who was more concerned about losing his bravado than his tail. The rat crew turned slowly from the shaded Baron to the shadeless King Rat. "Stop looking at me," King Rat cried. "Stop looking at me!" Young King Rat echoed in the shade vision. His voice sounded identical to one he had used to mock Baron. "You're making me nervous. It makes it nervous." Slug Jugs sighed a super unimpressed sigh. "So what? I'm supposed to have sex with you with my eyes closed?" "Yeah," King Rat replied hopefully. "You can pretend you're sleeping, and I'm just a ghost or something that comes in and does my thing. That way there'll be no pressure on me, and it'll be like a sexy fantasy for you." "That's no fantasy," Slug Jugs chided. "I don't fuck around with ghosts, not anymore. Ectoplasm and shit all over my eye stalks." She slammed her way upright on the bed and pulled on her shirt. "I also don't fuck around with babies. And right now, that's you." "No, wait!" Young King Rat shouted. He pointed to his wiener, which had grown slightly but remained microscopic. "It's working. Call me baby again. I'm just a little diaper baby, right?" "Ugh!" Slug Jugs grunted as she slimed off the bed and made her way to the door of King Rat's parents' basement. "You need some self-esteem, Desherandas, and career aspirations beyond walls of Pet World, and deodorant that doesn't have a dragon on the label." "Oh yeah?" Young King Rat called after her. He fell off the bed and dragged himself across the floor, tugging his taffy, rolling dick as he crawled. "Well, you're just a bitch." Young Slug spun around on a slime axis, ready to slap the shit out of the young King Rat with an ice stock. Instead, she shook her head and turned back to the door. "You and I both know who the bitch is, the Shundress." The door closed, and young King Rat found himself staring at his reflection in the mirror on the other side. His wiener so non-boned, it was fully concave. The shade vision faded out, and everyone turned their attention to modern King Rat. They no longer saw the mohawk, the tattoos or grill. They saw a tailless wiener child, writhing in a pool of his own blood, while still flexing his arms to look tough. Take me to bed, Layla! Baron groaned. He took off shades and threw them at the pathetic hollow mesh. Dishonest. King Rat scrambled for the shades. Ha! Now you're fucked up! He cried as he slammed them back onto his beady eyes. He stared intently at Baron, hoping to see vision of weakness. Instead, he saw Baron screaming in a galaxy of blacklight lightning bolts, doing one-arm pull-ups, while shredding on Garandax with the other arm. Bikini babes clamored around him, clawing at his crotch, begging to be taken to their bone zone. King Rat died instantly. Baron turned to the rat crew. Someone take me to Layla.
Brilliant.
So perfection after my nose fell off again.
Excellent. Perfect effective, man. Amazing. Oh, you. Excellent. Man, what an honor. Oh, shit. Can you still hear? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Chapter 26. The rat crew led Baron down a series of dark passages packed with pimento cheese and sideburn trimmings. They eventually reached a small grotto where in the middle of the floor Layla was chained. Her eyes initially lit up at the sight of Baron because she recognized him and he wasn't King Rat, but they narrowed when she remembered he was the one who had kidnapped her in the first place. Yo, chill, Baron said before she could scream at him. I'm here to rescue you.
Yeah, right,
She screamed at him.
you're here to re-kidnap me. I was warned about you. You're some kind of perv cop poser.
Yep, the fucking vape wolf and pencil peen vampire were right. I'm a perv cop poser, which leaves you two choices. Would you rather chill with a perv cop poser who wears rocket boots and is drenched in cologne, or with a dumpy rat monster named Deshandrius, who works at Pet World? Layla looked around the room. Fabric anime posters and empty milk jugs with straws in them were friggin' everywhere. Get me the fuck out of here now, she said as sternly as a mom on shore leave, whatever that means. Baron unchained Layla and the two walked back into the main cave chamber to find the rat crew eating the corpse of their ex-leader because they didn't understand all the thoughts/feelings coursing through their little rodent brains. Layla shooed them away and looked down at King Rat's remains. Rage filled her eyes. She turned to Baron and muttered,
You might want to get out of here unless you want to see some crazy crap.
Baron bailed, and that was the end of his and Grindax's adventure. The end. Done. Chapter 27. JK. Baron was always down to see some crazy crap, so he immediately replied, I'm Pete and Pete.
Huh?
Layla sputtered. Oh yeah, Baron said. He forgot that when you meet someone new, you have to introduce them to all your bullcrap before just saying it. That means I'm P and P, he explained, which is short for I'm pumped and primed.
How is that short?
Layla balked.
It's the same number of syllables, and you just doubly convoluted it.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely faster to say P than pumped. Baron alternated, saying both a few times to demonstrate. Seeing that Layla wasn't fully sold, he took out his phone and opened a stopwatch app to prove his point. Layla stopped him.
But you're not even saying P. You're saying Pete, which because of the hard vowel sound takes just as much time, if not more, as pumped.
No way. Pumped is like pumped, duh. It's closer to 2 syllables.
This whole fucking thing has gone off the rails, Layla snapped. Do you want to see some crazy crap or not?
Yes, Baron over-articulated. I'm pumped, and primed, Layla sighed and knelt next to King Rat's corpse. He looked like he was already starting to rot/bloat, but he actually looked that way before he died. Layla reached into her bra and pulled out a small velvet pouch. Baron got Pete and Pete because she touched him boob. She opened the pouch and removed glass vials containing stink blastas, the proboscis of a tropical pee-pee sucker, lemon zest, and a whisper of cinnamon. She smashed them all together in a mortar, covered her nose/mouth, and sprinkled the mixture over to King Rat. Baron cracked up since he thought she was simply putting gross stuff on him as a final bust. He stopped laughing, though, when she began a spooky chant.
Boussoir Sama, let's get crazy tonight. Boussoir Sama, because the time is so right.
King Rat's body stirred. Oh, fuck, Baron yelled, jumping back. King Rat sat up. His milky eyes scanned the room until they landed on Layla. Babe, he gargled.
Yes, my king,
Layla replied cecily. You brought me back because you love me?
No, my king,
Layla said less cecily, more pissedly. Because you love these? He curled a clawed finger and made a repetitive pointing motion to his rocket launcher rat balls. Layla smiled and moved toward him, walking super hot/feminine, like Jessica Rabbit or Peggy Bundy. King Rat insta got pink thing. It looked fucking disgusting, like a gross alien lipstick, and the entire room started to smell like buffalo-flavored blasted goldfinch crackers.
Close,
Layla said as she choked back vomit and drew closer to King Rat.
I brought you back to do this!
She screamed a crazy mom scream and stomped the fuck out of King Rat's nuts with her 13-inch heels. Fuck! King Rat shrieked as his balls imploded. His pink thing desiccated into dust and he died for the second time in like 5 minutes. Layla turned to Baron.
Now you know not to fuck with me,
she said with a confident smile. Totally, Baron said. Not that I'd planned to, but thanks for assuming that about me. Anyway, can we get out of here before unveiling this dude's wiener dust kills us? Chapter 28. Baron and Layla bailed out of the rat cave and back on the Sideboard Mountain's main trail. So, she started, beginning to realize that Baron was an okay dude with an okay tude.
You want to tell me why you kidnapped me?
Oh yeah, Baron replied. I need you to resurrect my best homie, Grindax, so we can get back to this kid's birthday party on Earth.
I don't know what any of those words mean, but I can definitely try. Where are his remains and how old are they? I may not be able to do anything if he's already rotted, or even if I could, you may not want me to.
Why? Baron asked with a manic grin. Because sometimes dead is better? Huh?
No, because in an advanced state of putrefaction, your best homie may no longer have the connective tissue to stand, the brain matter to think, the eyes to see.
Right. So sometimes dead is better.
I guess. Is that from a movie or something?
Baron's heart sank. Forget it. He's right here. He swung Grindax's pieces over his shoulder and lovingly reconnected them. I don't know exactly how long he's been dead, he said solemnly, since before I kidnapped or rescued you. Couple hours, maybe? Days? Layla looked down at the guitar pieces, then up at Baron. He seemed so pained/confused, like a werecat who had jumped into a storm drain and then had no friggin' clue how to get out. Baron's sudden vulnerability, coupled with the fact that an instrument was his best friend, and he was trying to get back to a kid's birthday party, tugged at Layla's heartstrings like crazy. Even if his face wasn't all that symmetrical and his haircut was kind of shitty, she was starting to dig him.
Okay,
she said gently while lowering her guard for what felt like the first time in years.
Let me see what I can do.
She carefully laid Grindax's reconnected pieces on the trail, knelt by his side, and pulled out her velvet boob pouch, which Baron didn't even think about this time because there was more important stuff at hand. Layla combined energy drink powder, energy drink liquid, and energy drink slime in her mortar. Then she incanted as she drizzled the pump panacea onto Grindax.
Samaneshi, Samaneshi. Hey everybody, let's get crazy. Samaneshi, Samaneshi. Hey, let's get crazy tonight, baby.
Baron held his breath and waited. Grindex didn't move. Mrs. Bones, you want to bust in soon? Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Are you down?
Sure.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Examination.
Yeah. I wish I had asked for you like 3 chapters ago. It's all fucking Layla talking.
You did a much better Layla voice.
Sunday.
Oh, wait. Chapter 29. I'm going to close this door, actually. Alright, chapter 29. Grindex didn't move. He glowed. His frets glowed faintly at first, like a bunch of drunk fireflies, but gradually increased in intensity, like a bunch of caffeinated fireflies. Oh, fart, yeah, Baron screamed. Grindex's spider eyes shot open, and in perfect harmony, all 8 baller beyond belief, fact or fiction black lights turned to Baron and winked. That's me winking. Baron slowly walked over to his best friend in the universe. As soon as he picked up Grindex, he felt both of their power pumps explode. The two began to hover in midair, even though Baron was barely using his rocket boots. Hey, Leela called. Baron snapped out of his awesome trance and looked down at her. Where do you think you're going, mister? She asked playfully. That's her playful voice. She smiled and reached for Baron's hand, ready to join him in his pumped air dance, ready to join him in his life. I told you, Baron said matter-of-factly. We gotta get to this kid's party. But what about our relationship? Layla pleaded. Huh? Baron asked, still floating higher. What about our relationship? She repeated, her face and voice snapping back in their crappy mom mode. Fuck that. Repo Man. The other one was Pet Cemetery. Baron blasted off into the stratosphere while playing a surf song so insanely sweet that Layla didn't even care about being left heartbroken and alone in the middle of Sideburn Mountain, where she would most likely be devoured by blood vultures and hermit crabs or something. Probably. She didn't care. It was fine. Chapter 30. Baron and Grindex flew back to the heart of Monsteropolis, doing sweet barrel rolls and flips the entire time. Upon getting there, the duo noticed that it had become crazy late at night. The sky was ultra black. There were barely any monsters in the street, and smooth jazz was playing everywhere. As much as Baron needed to get back to Little Billy's party, he suddenly realized how long he had been awake and how tired he was. Even though Grindex wasn't tired because he got to be dead for a while, Baron had to crash if he wanted to be in prime party form. He couldn't tell which one of the dark buildings surrounding him was a hotel, so he landed over by a phone booth, eyeballs and fangs, busted in and picked up the receiver. Hello, Monster Telephone Service, a British-sounding voice crackled over the line. Fucking everything here is monster, Baron thought. It was getting tedious. Yo, operator, he started. Monster operator, yes, the voice interrupted. Baron felt nauseated. I need a cab. A what? A monster cab, Baron said, dying a little inside. To take me to a monster hotel. Yes, sir. What monster cab monstering you to your monster? The line clicked off. Baron exited the phone booth and sat on the curb, hoping that whatever the fuck the operator meant equating to a cab took him somewhere to crash. He didn't have the pump/patience to deal with any more bullcrap. As he started to ask Grindex what it was like being dead, since that seemed like something you should ask someone, a gang of dark figures approached. You fucking guessed it, they were monsters. Chapter 31. The gang's frontman wore a derby hat on his melty slime head and a boogery mustache on his melty slime face. One of the ossified bugs had imprisoned a mosquito that probably could have been used to clone some extinct shit. Baron didn't know whether he was dealing with a slime monster or a booger monster, but either way, he wasn't feeling it. Good evening to you, dark sir, the monster said with a bow. Bish, keep moving, Baron snapped. Oh, but I am offended, the monster gasped. Here I am, a humble salesman, approaching you with the sole intent to offer an innocuous, dare I say most gracious, business proposition, yet you malign me. Another fucking fancy monster too. What's with this place? Baron grumbled. Look, I barely understand what the fuck you're talking about, but whatever you're selling, I ain't buying. We're just waiting for our monster cab. Are you so cocksure? Nah, man, we dig boobs. No, are you certain that you ain't purchasing my wares? The monster opened his trench coat and what looked like a million glow sticks lit up the wet street. Each one had a needle sticking out of it. You see, he continued, I have something for everyone, even the most uncouth of patrons. Now I'm 100,000 bojillion% sure, Maury. We don't do drugs, so fuck off. My dark sir, are you doubly, nay triply mistaken? You will do drugs. It is you who are off, shall be fucking. And my name is not Maury. Oh crap. It is... I can't say this. Sticky Nails Esquire. And those are my fine friends. The four monsters flanked...
Mephistopheles.
What?
Mephistopheles sticky nails.
Mephistopheles. Mephistito?
Yes.
The four monsters flanking Mephistito stepped forward as he introduced them. Ragnar Goldstein Esquire, a being whose polish is as refined as his breeding. A fat rat monster wearing an expensive suit crossed his arms and turned up his nose at Baron. Trimorphous Rex Esquire, financial advisor by day and trade, sommelier by night and passion. An ice dancer coldly bowed. Totem Bonaparte MD Esquire, top of his class at Monster University. The original Cyborg Mountain campus, of course. 4% acceptance rate. A tiki monster with a bitchy little face extended a hand. Baron left him hanging. And last, but most assuredly not least, is the broom with his broom. Eponymous broom. The writer is clearly smarter than I am and knows bigger words than I do. A dumpy, pasty, middle-aged humanoid with wispy hair and ped glasses shambled directly over to Baron. He carried in his fish belly-colored right hand a broom with bristles saturated in blood. Hello there, young man! Broom squawked in a high-pitched, warbling voice.
I can do the broom stuff.
Okay, cool. Would you like to do that over?
No.
Okay.
You're doing fine.
Baron saw a tiny balloon flapping at the back of Broom's throat, and it insta covered him in goosebumps. Back off, Ped, he yelled, pissed that the weirdo had invaded his personal space. He quipped at Grindax and wailed a couple of quick attack power chords. Electric wasp stingers materialized from Grindax's fangs and slammed into Broom's chest. The monster merely smiled and nipped through his dingy button-down shirt.
Mephistopheles. Like, what'd you say? Like, Mephistopheles?
Burrito chuckled. Simple fool. Your guitar will have no effect on him. Why not, Baron asked. Is he some kind of deaf ice cream truck driver or something? Oh, that's Baron, sorry. What? No. Mephistito?
I like it.
Scoffed. What a bizarre thing to say. Nay, Broom, like each of his most distinguished fairboys, is a rat monster. Oh, fuck, Baron yelled as Broom twisted off the top of his broomstick to reveal a mic with a professional-grade skull-shaped pop filter.
Oh, yeah.
You ready?
Sure.
Chapter 32.
All right. With a twisted grin, Broom began his rap. Yo, I'm the Broom. Oh, wait. Oh, that's not a Broom toss.
Yo, I'm the broomster, coming down hard like boomster.
A sonic wave exploded out of Broom's broom microphone, sending Baron and Grindex flying backward through the monster phone booth. The receiver fell off the hook and the monster operator yelled, "Oi, there it is, right in the bollocks!" As soon as Baron pulled himself to his feet, Broom continued the lyrical barrage.
Break them boys off and I'm platinum like doomster.
Broom's body became encased in platinum. With his non-mic hand, he fanned himself with all 5 installation floppy disks of Doom 2, and his eyes became covered in cacodemon contact lenses. His defense points increased by 4,332, which is it's the like fucking Doom. I think it's like IDKFA or IDDQD. IDD. It's one of those fucking. It's one of the codes, but translated in numbers.
Y'all know I be doing it half naked all night, do infinity push-ups while I crush the mic.
Broom's dingy shirt dissolved to reveal a bunch of sick tribal corporate sponsorship tattoos while Baron started doing push-ups against his will. His pump got a +5, but his endurance a -6, so it definitely wasn't worth it.
BRO to the ONE. Chaboy Broom packing heat, and soon you'll see that I'm the king.
A black skeleton crown from when BK had a Halloween burger, and now they do again, appeared on Broom's head. Baron's awe went up by 29 points, which negatively affected all spellcasting abilities he didn't even know he had.
Pimp from day one.
Platinum Broom became magically becaped, and a pimp cane whooshed into his non-mic hand. He dropped or did something with the Doom 2 floppy disks. Just chill. The cane was jet black, with the grip the shape of an elephant head on top, and a rusty nail on the bottom. So footnote, when we were in middle school, me and my best friend walked around with canes that we bought on eBay, and I had one with the sweet elephant head, and we taped nails to the bottom of them and tore up anthills. Baron imagined how sweet it would be to tear up anthills, there you go, with it, and he instantly was filled with jealousy. His boner mana felt big time.
Step to me, punk, and I'll show you my gun.
A tiny derringer appeared in Broom's non-cane hand, the one that was holding the broom mic. The fact that he juggled everything made it all the more intimidating.
Cause I'm that big bad broom and I inhaled the balloon. Now I break them boys off cause I'm crazy as a loon.
Broom's jaw turned into a bird beak and split down the middle, causing the balloon to flap around like crazy. Baron had already seen it though, so it actually didn't have any effect. Plus, the repetitive break them boys off and cliche crazy Zaloon lines were pretty weak. He felt an iota of pump/determination, but it wasn't enough, and Broom was fucking relentless.
I be spitting fire like all damn day. Step to me, punk, and it's you I'm gonna slay.
Broom, the mic, the cane, fucking everything immediately ignited.
Oh, how I love a good conflagration.
Mephisto swooned. He raised a knee, brought back his foot, and jammed an index finger into the resulting crease before thrusting to the beat of jingle bells like an absolute maniac. Broom began levitating and barrel rolling wildly toward Baron, shooting flames all over the place. "Dude, book it!" Grindex shouted. Baron was about to jump out of the way when his ADHD kicked in. All he could think about was how the broom missile reminded him of M. Bison's Psycho Crusher attack, and how M. Bison's name came from Mike Tyson, so in reality, M. Bison was supposed to be Balrog. But Balrog wasn't supposed to be M. Bison, but Vega. And Vega, Broom slammed into Baron, knocking him out cold and silencing all the bullcrap screaming in his brain. Chapter 33. Baron awoke to find himself covered in glass/cuts. He and Grindex had been launched all the way across the street and through the window of an ancient pharmacy. On the pump side, they landed in a display of glow-in-the-dark rubber mummies. On the anti-pump side, Mephisto and his gang were now standing over them. Each member held a neon syringe. "So cocksure," Mephisto said as he leaned down to inject the drugs into Baron's ears and Grindex's spider ears. Suddenly, an egg-shaped monster cap blazed up and slammed into the drug dealer, splattering his slime/booger body across the windshield. "Fucking little street trash!" Which is a street trash reference, obviously. Mephisto oozed before the cab's windshield wipers wiped him from existence. The surviving gang members shot back in horror, giving Baron enough room to swing Grindex across his body and into all of their syringes. The syringes shattered and the liquid content sprayed onto the monsters and was instantly absorbed into their faces and/or pee holes via pants osmosis. No! They cried as their pupils exploded and the drugs took effect. Totem saw the world as if someone had turned on a big head mode cheat, which are always stupid and a great way to vet new buddies. If they want to turn that crap on while you're playing NBA Jam or something, you needed to nip that shit in the butt. It kind of makes sense for GoldenEye or Turok where you can go for headshots, but even then it's not worth it because if you have to deal with goon laughter all night, or at least until your friend notices your VHS copy of Cannibal Holocaust and calls his mom to come pick him up because he thinks you're a demon, which he says like diamond because he's from some small town in West Virginia, then it's fucking bullshit. Fuck big head mode. Anyway, Totem felt the pain on an intensely ironic level. He took out his pouch of head shrinking powder and imagined sprinkling the precise dose needed to make everything around him normal sized again. But since he was on drugs, he actually just snorted the crap out of it while pissing himself and screaming at a progressively higher pitch until his head popped like a tiki teen pimple. Trinormous Rex groaned and grabbed his stomach. The drugs has caused radical chemical changes in the gallons of wine sloshing around in the sommelier's guts. Malbec became Blueberry Blitz Mad Dog. Chardonnay turned to Limonade 7 Loco. And Petite Syrah spoiled into one of those hard sodas that are simply malt beverages like the others, only given a fancy label and marked up 500%. The concoction bubbled so violently that it burned a hole through his ice body and spilled onto the street. Trinormous Rex let out a groan, wavered, and crashed against the asphalt, shattering into a high ABV jigsaw puzzle. Ragnarok had an existential crisis and called an ex-girlfriend from high school. Within a year, they were married and had too many kids with too many Y's in their names. Only Broom stood standingly. He smiled at Baron and said,
Mild, thanks for the free hit. Now it's your turn.
Chapter 34. Baron and Grindex were floored. Broom had absorbed an entire syringe of monster drugs and barely even felt it. And what he had felt, he dug. The duo realized fearfully that they were facing a monster who knew not only how to rap, but how to party. Broom raised his broom mic and shambled forward. He opened his mouth, ready to unleash another onslaught of rhymes. The balloon at the back of his throat inflated. Baron prepared himself to die/fry eggs for the first time. Grindex for the second. As the rap monster rapped his first word, an electric shoom silenced it. Broom's ped glasses clattered to the ground, and the balloon flopped around in his neck cavity amidst a shower of blood and neon monster drugs. As it deflated, the hideous stench of crawl spaces wafted across the air. Finally, Broom's body toppled over and revealed a mysterious figure standing in the shadows. The dark shape busted a ridiculously intense power stance, and Baron suddenly found himself staring down the barrel of a Buttons 9000 pulse rifle. Chapter 35. Behind the rifle and plume of haunted house fog that shoots out whenever a B9000 PR is fired, a glow-in-the-dark beak smirked. A stoic bird monster walked over and extended a feather. Baron grabbed it and pulled himself off the ground. You sliced and diced, the bird said. Thanks, man. You too, Baron responded. No, you cut from glass. Baron looked down and noticed that he was bleeding all over the place. Oh, crap, he muttered. The bird reached into his utility belt and pulled out a flask of neon liquid. He held it out to Baron. Here, he said. Drink. Yo, I know you missed it, Baron said exasperatedly, but I just went into a whole thing about how we don't do drugs. That's why there are all these dead dudes chilling. This not drugs, this potion. The bird monster gave a thumbs up and winked a hologram eye. Oh, right on, Baron said. He grabbed the flask and took a swig. It was legit. Like an ice-cold Josta. Fart, that's good, Baron exclaimed as half of his cuts insta-healed and his pump increased 80-fold. Can I give it a whirl? Grindex asked. He was still in the pharmacy's window display. The fact that Baron had forgotten about him, coupled with the pitifulness of Grindex saying, give it a whirl, made him feel super guilty. Definitely, homie, he replied while slinging his buddy back across his chest. Even though it meant the other half of his cuts may not heal, Baron poured the rest of the potion into Grindex's output, food/drink input, jack. Dude, this rules, Grindex yelled in perfect tune. Tastes sort of like Josta. The mutual sentiment made Baron even more confident in his decision to share. Did y'all ever fuck with Josta? Forget it. Plus, he might get some sweet scars out of the non-healed cut, so it was win-win. As the potion took effect, Grindax's fangs/strings became crazy sharp/polished, and his eyes glowed brighter than when he was a spiderling lute. Too rude, the bird said in a pleased tone. P.S. I Nerpex. You call Monster Cotton? Hell yeah, Baron and Grindax shouted. They rushed over to the cab, slammed into the back seat, and didn't buckle up. The interior of the cab looked amazing, with eggplant purple pleather seats and a fluorescent orange shop top made of spider webs. Up front hung a pair of anthropomorphic monster dice, which growled and bit each other like pumped wolf brothers. Nerpex jumped through the open window into the driver's seat and turned his glow beak to his new passengers/best friends. Where to go? Closest monster hotel, I guess, Baron replied. He wasn't even all that tired anymore, but he knew that he and Grindax needed to crash for a while since neither of them got a full potion heal. Caw, Nerpex cawed. He flipped one switch to turn on the meter and then another to turn on the black metal. All the lyrics were about bird stuff, only darker. Intentionally flying into windows, regurgitating chewed up baby birds into the mouths of giant worms, mite parasitism, brood parasitism, etc. The monster cab jammed through the empty streets, blazing by pitch black buildings and Mountain Dew pitch black fountains. They repeated like a wraparound background in a cheap cartoon. It was hypnotic, then soporific. Baron's eyes shot open as he heard tires screech and Nerpex scream, Fuck! Chapter 36. What the crap? Baron shouted as he woke with a start. What happened? We here, Nerpex replied. So I pumped. Oh man, nothing wrong with that, Baron said, getting a sweet contact pump going. He kicked open the cab door, grabbed Grindax, and threw a wad of earth money and birdseed into the passenger seat in case Nerpex was down for one but not the other. Fuck! The bird monster yelled while chucking both into his glow beak. He tore off into the night, weaving across both lanes of traffic. In the dense Monsteropolis fog, his taillights wrote in perfect cursive, This city here is like an open sewer. You should just flush it right down the fucking toilet. Taxi drivers, Baron laughed. He turned to face them. If you know what that reference is, then you get fruit snacks. He turned to face the monster hotel and was met with the snarling sound of a gigantic tusk rhinoceros bellhop. Bags? It golem groaned while searching around Baron's feet. Nah, man, Baron answered. You can chill. We don't have any. He tried circumnavigating the monster, but it stepped in front of him and furrowed its brow. Bags! It growled, raising a door-sized hand to stop the duo from proceeding. Oh, bags, Baron mimicked. I thought you said brags or frags or soft-shell crabs or do you have the guts to take home a glowing piece of the crag? But you said bags. Bags, the monster confirmed with a nod. Gotcha. Well, you're in luck. We definitely have bags. And guess what? The rhinoceros bellhop leaned in hopefully. So do you, Baron shouted in a sweet game show announcer voice. He swung Grindax between the monster's legs, smashing him right in the ding-dong and ding-dong sack. The monster's eyes/tusk crossed as he grabbed his crotch, fell to the ground, and violently vomited. He knew that he needed to get to a hospital fast. His mind raced with thoughts of how he didn't have health insurance and how he never should have left culinary school and abandoned his dream of becoming an obese chef monster. Those thoughts were quickly replaced with ones about internal bleeding, irreparable reproductive damage, his wife sobbing when he tells her he can't give her a child. She had been asking for years, but the time just wasn't right, and now it never would be. He began to cry and writhe on the cement. Yeah, right in the beanbag, Grindax laughed. He and Baron slept 5 and busted into the Monster Hotel. The lobby looked so baller. It was at least 300 floors high in atrium style, so when Baron looked up, he saw every type of monster partying outside its room. Eyeball monsters, mom monsters, obese chef monsters, you name it, especially if you're feeling more creative. A steady stream of the guests fell/were pushed over the balcony railings, while an equally steady stream of janitor roach monsters swept the carcasses from the lobby into the kitchen. On the left was an indoor pool filled with swamp water, swamp piranha, and swamp sharks. Bikini babes of all colors, shapes, and scalinesses sat around the pool and took pictures of themselves. Obese, speedoed perv monsters surrounded the babes while also taking pictures and mumbling about popping boners. To the right of the pool was a tiki bar backed by a toxic octopus monster who slung drinks in every direction. Werewolves, vampires, chainsaw monsters, and Daves chugged them and then straight up ate the tiki mugs before another appeared like magic in their hand / paw / whatever. And Chainsaws and Daves is a summer school reference. The sights got Baron and Grendex pumped in a major way, but they quickly remembered that they came to the hotel to sleep now so they could party later. They walked over to the check-in desk where an emaciated frog monster sat with his legs crossed like a lady. He winked, and it made the duo feel weird enough to serve as a cliffhanger. Chapter 37. Welcome to the Monster Hotel, bourgeois, the frog monster whispered through a dewy mustache. Do we have a reservation? The fuck did you call us? Baron demanded. Never you mind, mes petits bourgeois. It is just French, as are we. Monsieur Ledouche at your service. Your pleasurable service. Baron and Grendex bristled. Me and my guitar need a room to crash in for a few hours, Baron said after unbristling. Mes guitar and we, Ledouche corrected. But who are we to judge the grammar and lifestyle of one who requests a hourly rate? Going to make some sweet petite music, are we? He slowly winked his left eye at Baron and then his right eye at Grendex. Frog eye boogers crusted all over his lapel. Any other time, Baron would have leapt over the counter, grabbed a bunch of keys off their hooks, and started stabbing until all that remained was a dewy mustache. But he was too friggin' tired. Exactly, he sighed. Sweet petite music, bourgeois, and all that bullshit. Just give us a room. But of course, Ledouche replied with his lips now peppered with eye boogers. He turned his head and spit a rope-like blue tongue at the wall of keys. He then spun back around and flopped his tongue onto the front desk. It looked and smelled like a plastic fishing lure covered in key-shaped fish hooks. Take your petite pick, he murmured while wriggling it back and forth. Baron reached for the nearest, least disgusting key. It was shaped like a skeletal arm with fingers as the bit, which is the part that goes in the door. On the bow, the part that's held in turn, look up parts of a key since this shit isn't intuitive, was written room 1331, a number that's spooky up front and Halloweeny on the back. Ooh, but you have tickled my taste buds, Ledouche gasped as Baron grabbed the key. Exactly. Baron sighed again. He turned and bailed to the elevators. A chubby, pallid goblin kid stood there waiting. He held an energy drink in each hand and must have come from the pool because he had a damp towel wrapped around his neck and a sopping wet bowl cut on top of his head. I already pressed the button, the goblin kid said to Baron through chattering teeth. Cool, man. Good job, Baron replied. You're welcome, the kid chattered, even though Baron hadn't actually said thanks. While they waited for the elevator to arrive, the goblin stared at Baron and shivered. Grendex made an annoying bing noise every time the floor indicator light changed, and Monsieur Ledouche waved and yelled, Bonsoir, baby bourgeois, since he felt like he hadn't received enough attention. It was a living hell. Finally, the elevator car groaned its way down to the lobby. Baron busted in and pressed the button for floor 13. The goblin kid followed and pressed each fucking button on the panel, including the alarm. Every monster in the hotel turned its eye stalks to the source of the piercing sound. Half of the mom monsters judgmentally shook their heads, believing Baron was some shitty dad letting his kid run wild, even though they had no idea where their own babies were at the time, probably dead. The other half clutched their monster pearls, worried that if Baron and the goblin kid weren't related, that obviously meant Baron was a pet by coincidental maleness and proximity. Both monsters have shot looks to each other, did little eye rolls, and mouthed, I don't know. They immediately felt vindicated. They had publicly acknowledged that there was an issue and they were aware of it. Whatever happened now was out of their hands, and if an actual problem arose, their husbands could deal with it. None of the monster dads gave a fuck about who was in the elevator. They were too busy staring into their glasses of barrel-aged Schleim bourbon, reflecting on their regrets. The Mondads looked wistfully at the piano in the corner. They thought about how they still didn't know how to play an instrument and how they had enrolled in Guitar 1 during their freshman year at Monster University before their own Mondads told them that music was for Monfags, so they should take calculus, 17 instead. That way, if and when they fucked up as their Mondads knew they would, they could try again the next semester and still have a chance of being admitted to MU's prestigious Fuzzbee Sticky Nails School of Monstronomics. If you weren't in by your sophomore year, you'd be sucking shit and eating rat food the rest of your life. So they switched. With a grimace, the dads took a sip of slime bourbon and promised themselves they would never do that to their own Mon kids, but they knew they would. They took another sip. They wondered if in the future their kids would respect them. They wondered at what point in the past their wives had stopped. At what point did they have to start asking, begging their wives for sex like a lowly werewolf instead of apologizing they couldn't go more than 3 times in one night? At what point did the cute 20-something vamp cat cashiers, who the monster dads thought couldn't be more than 5 years younger when it was actually closer to 20, start calling them sir and smiling sympathetically instead of suggestively? They exhaled and turned their collective gaze from the piano back to their glasses. By the time they were retired and had the time to learn an instrument, their hands would be too arthritic, their eyes too weak, their brains too foggy, their backs too sore. Fuck it. Music was for Monfags anyway. They raised a fully capable claw and ordered another drink. Baron swallowed hard, suddenly feeling like he'd stepped on someone's toes. Relief came as the elevator door closed and he and Grinex were alone again, until a chubby, pallid hand tugged at his shirt, and he remembered they weren't alone at all. Thanks. Chapter 38. Hey, the Goblin Kid said. Hey, Baron replied. Syrup, Grinex called from Baron's back. The kid took a swig from one of his 2 energy drinks. This is so good. Scott Cherry. Cool, Baron nodded. He had no idea what to do with that. He looked down at the can, which portrayed a shrieking mandrill and the words, Ape Executioner beneath it. There's nothing about Cherry, and kind of strange they would negate their own pun. The new buddies, now fully talked out, rode the rest of the way in silence. The only sounds came from the kid chugging/burping his energy drink, while Grinex continued his bing noises as they stopped on every floor. Still, it was less of a living hell than before. Take it easy, dude, Baron told the Goblin Kid when they finally reached floor 13. Take it easy, Scott Cherry, Grinex echoed. Night, the kid belched. He attempted to drink from both cans at the same time, which instead resulted in him spilling all over the carpeted floor. Baron walked down the hall to room 1331, slammed in the key bit, and twisted the bow. He and Grinex cautiously busted into the room, not knowing what to expect from a monster hotel. It was par for the fucking course. To their immediate right was a bathroom, where a sickly yellow light flickered and illuminated a dump-covered everything. The main room in front of them featured a bed with a duvet composed entirely of a writhing mass of bedbugs. An ancient AC window unit screeched behind it, blowing out dust and bonus bedbugs. Baron was about to lose all pump and die when he noticed a ratty CRT TV chilling on a stand against the wall. Attached to it was a Monster 64 video game controller. He rushed over and pressed the TV's power button. A cheesy welcome page glowed onto the screen and showcased the bar's tiki drinks and pool hours. Baron excitedly navigated past the bullshit bill pay options and monster porn movies until he confirmed the hotel indeed had video games. There was even another controller tucked away behind the TV, so he and Grinex could play 2P. Oh, hell yeah! Baron shouted. He hadn't seen a setup like this in over a decade, and it was so rad that it made up for everything else shitty about the room, which was everything. His, and consequently Grindex's, pump levels shot through the asbestos-filled popcorn ceiling, and they instantly forgot how tired they were. It was time to party. They called Monster Room Service and ordered a stack of grilled cheeses, a mountain of fries with tiny glass ketchup bottles, and a dozen Grape Ape Executioners that were delivered in ice glasses with cellophane wrap over the top instead of in cans for some weird hotel reason. Baron and Grindex ate junk and played rubbish until nights became days. That's a Home Alone reference. They laughed about all the bullshit that came before, and they didn't think about any of the bullshit that was to come. Eventually, they passed out on the floor with controllers in hand as pause music repeated in the background, and an image of two warriors burned its way into the CRT's screen. It was a screen most would have deemed obsolete, past the time when someone should use it to play M64 games, past the time when someone should use it to play games at all. But the duo slept peacefully in the screen's soft glow, tucked away from such opinions in one of the countless rooms of the Monster Hotel, a lazily named place inhabited by countless stupid monsters, in a city and a world and a universe inhabited by countless more stupid monsters. Meanwhile, back at Pizzeria 64, Little Billy's party continued simply because it needed to, and because it could. Chapter 39. Baron and Grunek slept for a million. They only awoke when a Vivitch housekeeper busted into their room.
Pardon me,
She sang,
housekeeping. I just need to feed and milk them bed bugs right quick.
Thinking redneck ninjas were busting in to murder him, Baron shot up, grabbed Grindex, and began shredding. The last thing the housekeeper saw before a 6 speed model rift solidified into steel and tore through her neck was Baron's morning wood. Her head rolled into the hall with its eyes and mouth fully open / prepared for peace. Oh, dang, Baron said, realizing his impetuousness. Sorry about that. Wake and shank, man, Grindex reassured. Doesn't rhyme, Baron snapped. He felt embarrassed for sleeping too long and for acting too hastily with what could have been his new girlfriend. Baron stared at the Vivitch's corpse and imagined driving around with it on a sunny summer day. Her head would still be attached, and they'd blaze to Taco Bell before looking for horror VHS at flea markets and Halloween stuff at Party City. She wouldn't really be interested, but she'd feign pumped the whole time because she was cool like that, and he'd reciprocate by watching garbage reality TV shows with her that night. They'd both have Texan accents and life would be beautiful. Let's get out of this shithole, Baron growled, not wanting to torture himself any longer with thoughts of what might have been. You got it, man, Grindex replied. But hey, playing nerd games all night rocked, huh? Baron looked over the controllers and room service trays scattered across the ground. His existential sadness was quickly replaced by nostalgic pump. Hell yeah, he laughed. Hey, remember that shitty beat-em-up? Where all the enemies were palette swaps and or super racist, and that one boss was legit unbeatable? Good times. The two walked out of the room and over the housekeeper's severed head. She wasn't that hot, and Baron realized she probably would have given him shit for wanting to go to Party City 2 days in a row, totally disregarding the fact that Halloween stuff can hit the shelves any friggin' day once it's summer, and even just seeing unopened boxes labeled Larry Leviathan's Deluxe Dinosaur Dracula fangs stacked on the floor was reason enough to check religiously. Sorry about snapping at you, homie, Baron apologized. No prob, Bobby Babino the Rip King, Grunex replied. Totally rhymes. Shit was getting kind of weird, so the two busted back down to the lobby to check out. There they found Monsieur Ledoux still chilling behind the counter with his legs crossed like a lady. He had winked out so many eye boogers since they last saw him that stalagmites had formed on his lapel. Checking out, baby bourgeois? He called as they approached. Yep, Baron said as he threw the key on the counter. After feeling guilty for beheading the housekeeper, he chose to once again follow the path of least resistance / bloodshed / interaction with MLD. How much do you owe in Earth bucks? He asked. 5? 10? Let me find out, the frog monster replied. He opened a ledger bound in human flesh and written in human blood and pen ink. 138 hours for the room, plus room service, petite video games, and housekeeper homicide is 8800. Can't afford that, Baron yelled. We only have like 0.05 hundo. C'est la vie, the frog monster replied with a wink that caused stalagmites to grow. Lucky for you, we have, how do you say, other ways to settle these matters? No fuck way, Baron yelled, covering his crotch. Oh, mes petits bourgeois, MLD laughed. It is not your ping-pongs that we want. It is your immortality. But if you are offering the combo deal... In a frog-green flash, Monsieur Ledoux leapt over the counter, holding aloft this scarab of Mythengau. That's bad. Elf monster.
Forgive me, I seem to have lost my nose. Before I read chapter 40, which is my favorite chapter, I would just like to remind you that I, Elzebar, is the leader of the Spooky Basement Elf and Troll fan chapter at the North Pole. You can follow us at hashtag Elf and Troll fan chapter at the North Pole that loves Spooky Basement. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Grindr. Anyways, chapter 40. Baron Flip-Flop dodged Monster Ledouche's attack before he even had time to consider whether he was actually immortal. He's pretty sure he wasn't. The Frogmaster ate it, hard, sliding across the marble floor and into a trash can by the tiki bar. When he emerged, the banana peel hung off the top of his head like a stupid little wig, and everyone at the bar freaking lost it. One fat werewolf laughed so hard that slime bourbon came out of his beakstrels. And since it stung a little bit, he let it ruin his entire business trip. Ledouche leapt out of the trash, feeling stupid, pissed, embarrassed, and shrieked a high-pitched French "What?" He again launched himself at Baron, but this time with his tongue out. Baron swiftly laid down a sludgy doom metal riff on Garandax. The hotel walls began to melt and slough off into sweet puddles, and a bolt of ice lighting shot out of Garandax's spider fangs into the airborne frog monster. MLD's body careened past Baron into the wall, shattering into exactly 88 hundo pieces. It looked almost identical to a Sub-Zero scene from the first Mortal Kombat movie, but different enough to not be a ripoff. Fatal move, Baron said with a chuckle. He walked over to the ice chunks to search them for loot and gold. As he dug through the slush, the scarab of Mythendril, totally unfrozen, flew out like a cockroach that doesn't reveal its flying ability until it's too fucking late. Baron knew he didn't have time to play a single defense note, so he closed his eyes and prepared to die, or at least lose the immortality he may or may not have. Chapter 41. Burp. Garandax burped. Baron opened his eyes. The scarab of Mythendril was gone. Cool, Bale? Garandax asked nonchalantly. Dude, where's that horrifying beetle thing? Oh, I ate it. I'm part spider monster, remember? But what about its fangs? Won't they steal your immortality? Oh, I'm not immortal. I'm part guitar, remember? Feeling confident, bored now that everything had settled down, Baron and Garandax busted out of the hotel and back onto the street. A massive parade was going on with monsters on both sides of the sidewalk cheering like crazy while floats, clowns, obese chef monsters, and cages of growling Redolarnaxes tore down the block. Oh, fart knockers, Baron yelled. Friggin' monster circus time. An obese troll mom standing in front of Baron whirled around. Two stupid, wild-haired troll babies were sucking upon her fat teats. They all had a unique, indescribable smell that the majority of the other monsters hated, but a few loved so much they created an I Love Troll Door Troll Odor subreddit. Excuse you, she howled. You need to watch your fuck mouth. There are children here. Baron had no clue what she was talking about. There was no way she could have been pissed about fart knockers or friggin'. He thought maybe it was because he said monster, like it was the N word or something there. But that would have meant they named their city N-Wordopolis. So it couldn't have been that either. The more confused he felt, the more pissed he became. He also fucking hated when people said, excuse you. So he poked the bear. What's the fart knockers are you talking about, you freaking monster circus? He said as pissed and pumped as possible. Why, you white trash ass, the troll mom started. Time, Garandax cut in. You forgot to say time. What the fart knockers are you talking about, you freaking monster circus time? The troll mom freaked the fuck out. She turned bright purple. She was green before. And both troll babies started crying even though they still had their mouths full of nip. Her eyes went crazy and she fanatically looked around for assistance because she felt slightly victimized and inconvenienced. And thus believed everyone should drop whatever they were doing to help the bullshit minutes while she had going on at the moment. It was so important to her, it should be important to everyone else too. When she saw that no one gave a crap, she sighed angrily and loudly. When that didn't work, she started crying like her little troll babies. You assaulted me! She sobbed. It was a total lie. But she hadn't got the response she wanted. She needed to turn it up a notch. After exactly 2 seconds later, she even began to believe her own lie, which caused her to shake and sob harder. A few monsters turned around and looked ready to rock. He attacked me and my children! She wailed. He's a demented pervert! Won't someone do something? More monsters turned around, including a few demented perverts who were hoping to see some shit. What? Baron demanded. I didn't do anything. I'm sorry if my words made you feel uncomfortable, but the troll mom cut him off. Rapist! She screamed at the top of her lungs. Her poop-butted baby swayed back and forth on her chest, crying and gnawing crabbily. The monster bystanders cracked their knuckles and moved towards Baron and Garandax. Wait. Baron laughed, his bullshit meter going off the charts. I'm actually not sorry, because guess what? I didn't do crap. The mom encroaching and monsters gasped. Kill him! A Whisker Blue Meanie shouted. Take his fucking knife! I'm sure he doesn't deserve it. Look at his face. It's kind of asymmetrical. And she's a mom who's just trying to trust her mom instincts. A green botsweenie nodded and gurgled. Rape him to death with his guitar razor wire neck. That'll teach the pervert! Both monsters frothed at the mouth and started popping boners. Baron lost his shit. Fine. Fuck it. You want me to be a villain? The monsters all widened their eyes, hopefully. Well, here you go! Baron screamed in his maniacal game show announcer voice. He played for frenetic thrash melody. Changed Garrett's fangs to necrotic mode. He then swung Garrett's to the left troll baby, ejecting both fangs in that little jerk at full force and venom. The baby swung around the nip at light speed while rotting and screaming. Troll milk and blood rained down the sky, soaking in the dirt and guaranteeing nothing would ever grow there again. The crowd jumped back, aghast yet fully entertained. The blue meanie crammed his hand into his pocket and went to town. No! My precious, you little star! The troll mom cried as she watched her child reduced to a tan, rotten shell. Before she could process what had happened, Baron launched a flying jet boot-powered knee at the other baby. The tiny jerk rocketed up, but maintained a strong bite on the nip, stretching it 555 feet into the air before turning it down towards its descent. Don't worry, baby Alstar, the troll shrieked, while twisting her belly, drew into a panic. Mommy will catch you! But she missed. The troll wing slammed onto the pavement, its fall cushioned only by the rubbery rope of the nip dangling from its mouth. Dazed and pleading, it looked to Baron for mercy. The Sledge-O-Matic! He announced instead, his eyes indicating that he had gone totally fucking off the rails. He raised Garandax above his head and brought him down hard. The monster spawn exploded into a shower of gusts and watermelon seeds that sprayed all over the parade goers, who were now cheering into the freshly donned Baron branded ponchos. All they had wanted to see was some violence. They didn't care how they got it or who was on the delivering receiving end. Besides, now that the mom's boobs were all chewed up and stretched out, she was way less attractive than Baron. That led to them to the conclusion that she had been the bad guy all along and justice had been served. It was a fantastic twist. Everything was fantastic. Thank you, Baron yelled to his adoring fans. He bowed and shredded an epic speed metal dress on the Garandax, who winked his 8 eyes at everyone. The troll mom was dumbfounded. She was always used to getting her way, but this time she hadn't, or maybe she had. After all, she had wanted trouble and attention, and she got both. But now her kids were dead, and her boobs were the grossest in the world. She closed her eyes and vowed that if she ever had kids again, she'd define herself as something other, something more than just a monster. She would find a way to contribute something to monsterkind so she could stop being so defensive out of sheer boredom. She smiled and opened her eyes, prepared to start anew. Encore! Baron and Garandax dual game show announced as the former planted the ladder to the ground, raised his jet boost, and blasted off the troll mom's boobs with black light flame. Roast and toasted! Garandax shouted over the roaring crowd. The troll mom gurgled pitifully as her torso disintegrated, revealing the raucous monsters on the other side. As her body collapsed, 2 imps rushed over, bent down and stuck their heads through her open boob cavities. They reared up, wearing the troll mom's dying body like a tandem hat, began to dance and take selfies with their fellow parade goers. It was getting a bit too intense. Monster circus? Baron asked Garandax. Monster circus. Garandax responded, choking back vom as he watched the troll mom's head flop back and forth, her dead eyes open and staring.
Excellent.
I think I'm taking over. Hey. Chapter 42. Baron and Grindex followed the monster parade until they reached a midway that stretched as far as their 10 eyes could see. It was blacklit as fuck, and commercial haunts and funhouses all over the place. Calliope music played through hidden speakers in the bushes, and few were slightly out of sync, so it sounded extra spooky. Werewolf barkers called out to passerbys, gourding them into flipping frogs into vats of acid or throwing darts at newborns. Vendor carts lined the path and were helmed by obese chef monsters hawking razor blade-filled candied apples, funnel cakes made of intestines, and $10 sub sandwiches with only one slice of dry turkey and one leaf of super pale / wilted lettuce. Baron and Grindex were too broke to do anything, so they kept busting down the midway until they reached a large tent with Big Top Terror scrawled above it. The entrance flap was blocked by a ripped ghost bouncer whose hands were tucked beneath his biceps to make them look even bigger. "Got money / tickets," he wailed as Baron and Grindex approached. The duo walked right through his dumb ass and into BTT. They grabbed a seat on the highest bleacher and scooped up some floor popcorn to munch on. As the lights went down, all the monsters in the crowd instantly went into coughing fits and yelled, "Woo!" and "Uh-oh, I think it's starting." It made Baron feel a little closer to them, yet also way more resentful. A skeleton wearing a top hat and candy-striped jacket busted into the center ring. From the rafters, a mangy rat monster followed him with a spotlight and drooled onto the glass. So a bunch of sweet / gross patterns were projected to the ground below. "Ladies and gentlemen," the ringleader started, "your attention please. Welcome to the Fangulous, the most spooktacular event in Monster Mania history. Put your claws together for the creepiest Creepers of Variety Hour." A group of monsters ran out holding up their arms like dinosaurs. "Maybe it'll get pumped," Baron whispered to Grindax into himself, but it didn't get pumped. Instead, the monsters began flailing around and singing like idiots. "Meet the monsters! Meet the monsters!" they sang, shaking their little shoulders back and forth while pretending they had boobs. Baron and Grindex curled their lips and melted into their seats. "We're not your average!" An emaciated chicken monster made a stupid little boop-boop, boopity boop noise while doing jazz hands and make his eyes go crazy. "Ordinary monsters, meet the monsters! Meet the monsters!" Baron and Grindex had seen enough and didn't want to get sued for copyright infringement. They flagged out a pimply goon vendor, snagged 2 snow cones, and launched them at the center ring. Baron's snow cone nailed the chicken monster right in the beak, and it was immediately followed by Grindex's, which split Baron's clean in 2. The chicken let out a falsetto shriek that silenced the entire tent except for 2 dudes who were cracking up like fucking crazy. "Oh my fuck," Baron laughed. "Dude, you friggin' Robin Hoodin' it." "Ha ha ha, totally," Grindex laughed. He had no idea what that meant, but he didn't let on because he didn't want to bring down the pump. But then he worried that if Baron had also robbed and hitted his snow cone, like if it just meant to hit someone in the face, then he might be waiting for Grindex to congratulate him too. You did it!" Grindex yelled. But by then 3 minutes had passed, and he and Baron were being dragged outside by security guard monsters. 43. Baron and Grindex resisted their arrest, their former biting, kicking, and repeatedly asking, "Officer, what did I do? The officer, what did I do?" while the latter slashed at the security guard's arms with razor wire strings and shouted, "Please, officer, please! Please, officer, please!" Grindax's method was far more effective, and the security guards were quickly diced into fine chunks. Nice. Good job murdering them forever, Baron praised. Fucking Robin headed them, Grindex said proudly. Yeah, I guess. But yo, let's bust back to the Midway and check out some of the dark rides. You know, a haunted house in Monsteropolis has gotta rock. As Baron stepped over the security guard remnants, tiny little hands shot out and grabbed his ankles. What the fart, he gasped. The hands grew bigger and their grips tighter. Miniature arms grew behind them, then torsos, legs, and penis-slash things, depending on if they were dudes or chicks. Finally, security monster heads, wearing security monster hats, popped out of each 13-foot tall, shiny new monster. "Oh, fart knockers," Baron screamed. "Dude, they're infinity monsters." Grindex ran bioscans, and to his terror confirmed Baron's suspicion. The security guards were composed of a unique type of Mars mud that had regenerated properties and a pleasant pumpkin scent. Slicing them into bits would only spawn a new monster from each bit. Frying them into ash would result into a new monster for each ash. Freezing them would have worked because Baron and Grindex could have booked it before the monsters defrosted, but they weren't able to think of that in time because of the game show effect. The game show effect derives its name from the fact that whoever goes on the game show will find it infinitely harder to answer questions, complete high-based physical challenges, or simple silver monkeys in that environment. No matter how many seasons they spent screaming at the TV about how much they would have wrecked if they'd gotten on. But since Baron and Grindex were on the game show instead of chilling in their living room on the pink recliners that they painted and looked like go-karts, they're dragged through the streets and thrown to the Monster Jail. 42. Monster Jail was housed in a gigantic limestone castle, blanketed in wanted posters. "Shit, dude, check," Baron said, noticing that most of the posters depicted crude drawings of him and Grindex. Beneath their sketches, crimes were listed. Taking more than one candy. Momstercide, destruction of property / gateside, school stink bombing, witch napping, beavitch slaughter, non-payment of hotel bill including M64 games, Monstercide again, what's up? Freud, Robin Hooding / Robin and hiding a chicken, other stuff probably. Baller, we're famous, Grindex replied, trying to sound pumped but feeling self-conscious because in most of the pictures his strings looked bassier than he thought they did in real life. The security guard mud monsters began the redundant processing process. They sprayed Baron and Grindex with the bubblegum-flavored no-tears decamination foam, took a few serious mugshots and a few silly ones, and outfitted them in Ben Cooper-esque plastic smocks with Bad Guy 1 and Bad Guy 2 right on the back. The duo was then led downstairs into a dungeon where the guards locked and ate the key, complete with a burp for added effect. Baron and Grindex looked around at their new home. It was dark and cliched to the max. Bars and slime-covered stone walls surrounded them on each side. Chained to open treasure chests were spooky, long-bearded skeletons, and chilling in the corner was a toilet, pre-filled with mush mountain of dump. Baron and Grindex settled in, content with the knowledge that they were definitely worse fates than becoming spooky / rich skeletons with long beards and high-fiber diets. Suddenly there was a loud buzz, followed by the sound of high heels clacking down the hall. "Hello, fuckface and fuckface junior," a babe voice taunted. "Oh shit, Elaine," Baron yelled pompedly. "Am I FF or FF Junior?" Grindex asked concernedly. "It's Layla," the babe screamed crabbily. Right. Well, fuck, King fucking syrup, Layla. You here to bust us out or what? What? She responded, looking more like a mom than ever with her bobbed hair, giant sunglasses, yoga pants, and a latte in each hand. "I'm actually here to torture you." Dang. "You see, after you abandoned me on Cyborg Mountain, rescued you, abandoned me." On Sideboard Mountain, I gave up on the idea of ever getting pumped again, so I went full adult. I withdrew from all of my necromancy classes and earned a degree in Monsteropolis communications with a minor in monsternomics, since it's too math heavy to choose as a major. I had to suck shit and eat rat food through a few unpaid internships, and then I landed my job as Vice Assistant Administrative Torture Process in Specialist at the Monsteropolis Department of Corrections. VAATPIS at the MDOC. Good get, Grindex chimed in because he wanted to feel included. How did you do all that in like 2 days? Layla ignored them. Now I get paid an ice cool $23K plus biddies to torture fuckfaces like you. Bad guys who live in the pursuit of only what gets themselves pumped. Even at the expense of society or girlfriends. But why torture us? It's not like we have any top secret video game tips or funny grandpa stories to share. Just leave us here to chill or die. That's exactly why I have to torture you. Otherwise, this would be a vacation. I bet you've already managed to get pumped in this jail cell simply because it's skeletons and slime. But even if I put you in a sterile, all-white cell with absolutely no stimulation, you'd probably pretend it's some sort of baller-ass future world or the Dimension Gate from Phantasm. It's actually pumped but otherwise, wow, dead on, Baron said. He was shocked by how well Layla knew him, even though they had barely hung out. Either he was super one-dimensional or she was his true soulmate. So, she continued, the only way to punish you for your crimes, including but not limited to leaving me to die / make out with gross rat monsters all over Sideboard Mountain, is to torture you. Do your worst, Baron said, feeling somewhat cocky after Layla regarded him as such a resolute pump prophet. No matter what you do, we'll still find a way to get Pete. Don't start with that bullshit, Layla snapped. I realize that you'll never suffer as long as you can use your imagination. So I had the lab monsters cook up a little something for you. Layla pulled a syringe out of her cleavage. Baron started to pop a boner, but it instantly melted when she spoke her next word. An ADHD medicine cocktail. 1 drop of this and you'll never be pumped again. Chapter 45. Which is not going to be me. It's going to be the author.
It's not good.
Okay.
Real good. All right. Chapter 45. No! Baron screamed as Layla walked toward him with the syringe held above her head like a maniac on the loose. Baron knew he couldn't hurt her because she was still more babe than mom, but he also couldn't think to play any freezing or time-based attacks because of the game show effect. There was only one way out of the situation, so he took it. He flexed his right bicep, squeezing his fist so hard that his fingernails turned black. The sight made Layla stop in her tracks and remember her witch/goth roots. Baron then flexed his left bicep, which most people would expect to be smaller than his right because he was right-handed, but it was for that very reason he worked it out even harder, making it like 0.25 inches bigger and 3.82% more vascular. Layla's pupils turned into voids that sucked in every atom of Baron's rip. Her entire body began to salivate. Baron brought his arms down across his chest, hitting Layla with a double attack of traps and pecs, before closing with the Chong-Li boob dance from Bloodsport. Grindex instinctively started chanting, "Baron, Baron, Baron," and taking imaginary bets in a beyond borderline racist Chinese accent that luckily no one heard. Layla dropped the syringe, and since she had brought a glass one that she thought looked older/spookier than plastic, it shattered across the cement floor. Toxic wraith vapors rose from the pool of ADHD medicine and let out a mournful math equation cry. "Fuck!" Layla yelled angrily. Baron flexed his peen muscle. "Fuck!" she whispered cessily. Her mouth opened and a waterfall of drool poured forth, washing off her red lipstick and revealing the black lipstick she still wore beneath it. Baron flexed the balls of his feet to launch himself at Layla and then the balls of his balls to magnetically pull her against him. The two started making out hard. Their eyes closed, their tongues wrestled and swapped slime, and a cloud-riding camera monster spun around the room and filmed everything in order to make sure the scene looked more intense/romantic. And that's a Lakitu reference. Yeah, you do it to her, Baron, Grindex whispered, trying to be a solid hype man but taking it too far. You do it to her. You doozy. Why toozy? What toozy that bitch? She like it. Layla opened her eyes and looked over at him. He was chilling in the corner with a copy of Deshaun Bitch's Guide to Getting Bitches and rubbing his strings together while still staring up at her with wild spider eyes. He had pink thing. Layla's pump insta-drained. She pulled her tongue out of Baron's mouth and pulled his boner out of her crotch.
I think you both should leave now.
What the fuck? Why? Baron demanded. Because Grindex got pink thing? He can't help it, Layla. He's a guitar.
I'm just not feeling it anymore.
But I was going to take you all the way to the bone zone.
Feeling it even less now.
Lame. Well, you still want to hit Taco Bell or Party City or something? Maybe quest for VHS at ratty shops that reek of cigarettes where the store owner watches you via CCTV and rubs himself through his sweatpants?
Just get out of here before I decide to torture you again.
Hey, as if blue balls weren't torture enough, Baron said in his best Rodney Dangerfield voice. Ba-dum-tsh, Grindex rim-shotted. Baron and Grindex cracked up and took turns shouting, hey, and ho, and boy, I tell ya. Layla walked across the room and pressed an alarm button on the wall.
You've got 10 seconds,
she said, once again using her mom voice. 4! Baron yelled. He grabbed Grindex and booked it out of the jail cell. As the sirens blared, the duo tore down corridors and up stairwells, managing to avoid/murder every guard who stood in their way. Other than a decent mini-boss battle against a boar sentinel, though, it wasn't anything they hadn't done a bunch of times already. Home free, baby! Grindex cheered as he and Baron found themselves back in the lobby of the MDOC compound. But as they busted toward the front door, a giant battle axe smashed through the wall next to it. A 31-foot-tall, shock blue monster with bat ears, glow-in-the-dark eyes, hook nose, conical teeth, and hove pillars of legs exploded into the room with a deafening roar. A banner reading "When Monsters Ruled the Monsteropolis," which is a JP reference, fell slowly past his crowned head and draped across his shoulders, giving him a baller cape to complete his already impressive bow tie/shoot combo. Even without a formal introduction, Baron knew from childhood stories and the real Ghostbusters reruns who towered before him. The Boogeyman, King of Monsteropolis, badass 2D extreme, and final fucking boss monster. Chapter 46. This is it! Baron yelled, wielding Grindex and readying his fret-fingered calluses. Yeah, too crunk! Grindex yelled back, self-tuning and filling his fangs with every venom known to man/monster. Baron grimaced and wished Grindex had said pretty much anything else. The Boogeyman launched the first attack. He slammed his axe into the ground, sending a shockwave coursing toward Baron. Baron flipped over and wailed some swamp metal riffs in midair. The floor beneath Boogie's feet became soft and wet, and the King of Monsteropolis' hooves sank into the dark mire. Baron landed on solid ground and played harder. He wasn't fucking around since he knew that if he died, the last checkpoint was like 15 obese chef monsters ago. The ground became swampier. No matter how much Boogie struggled, he couldn't get out. Still, he laughed. Ha! You think a little Swamp Sam will stop me? He chuckled arrogantly. Dude, it already has, Baron snapped back. King Boogie looked down at his rapidly sinking legs and then cleared his throat. You caught me there, but let me tell you, these hooves were made for walking, he said, and that's just what they'll do. Oh my fuck, I hate Monsteropolis so much, Baron sighed. Boogie stuck his axe into the marshy ground and stirred. The swamp sand began to boil, and with a wet sucking sound, he burst forth upon a vortex of cyclopean swamp rana. And one of these days, these hooves are gonna stomp right over you. He crooned as he crashed into Baron's chest, catapulting him across the room. The swamp rana vortex followed, and Baron found himself staring down a wave of gnashing teeth, unblinking eyes, and sushi stink. Even though most of his bones were fucked from the kick, not totally broken, but painful enough to convince a doctor to write some vague bullshit like, hairline dorsal contusions to get him out of work/gym class for a week, Baron had enough strength to lay out a quick surf melody that materialized into a poisonous fog of crabsquitos, which he hoped would beat Swampronobortices like paper beats rock. But as soon as he made that tangential connection, his ADHD kicked in. He thought about how bullshit it used to be when kids would stick out a finger and say gun while playing rock, paper, scissors, and then how extra bullshit it was when someone countered with grenade. Despite it being the exact same hand gesture as rock. And then Boogie was on top of him and biting his fucking face off. Grendex knew his buddy was screwed and tattooed if he didn't do something fast. He pulled himself up by the strings, loaded his omnivenom, and sank his fangs into Boogie's arm. But the Monster King's entire body was covered in bitter apple spray since he was training his new pet ferret not to bite, so Grendex recoiled before he could even inject a single drop. He then tried whipping at Boogie with his razor wire strings, but Boogie started making weird pleasure grunt sounds, so he stopped that shit as quickly as it started. In a panic, he pulled up his bud HUD to discover that Baron's health/pump had already dropped to 25%. Baron bit him again and it fell to 16%, then 7%. Grendex ran a few calculations slowly because he sucked at multiples of 9, but every one of them pointed to his best friend in the universe being F-bombed. He would be killed with one more bite. It made Grendex feel sick. So sick, in fact, that he vomed. The torrential spray launched up, in, and around King Boogie's face, showering him with the chunks of circus floor popcorn, hotel fries, and goodie, plus a little grossy, that Grendex had eaten during his and Baron's adventure. Fucking gross, Boogie yelled. He turned his attention to the guitar, who was in way over his frets. What's wrong with you? And what's wrong with your diet? After spitting a bunch of times and doing some deep breathing, he continued, I was going to let you watch your friend here die, but now it looks like who'll have the distinct pleasure instead. Oh, wait, you'll have the distinct pleasure instead. Who'll have the distinct pleasure of watching you die, and you'll have the distinct pleasure of dying. There, got it. No, Grendex, Baron Blood gurgled as King Boogie released him and grabbed his axe handle with both gnarled hands. It's okay, man, Grendex said calmly while closing his spider eyes. See you in Pump Hollow in like 2 seconds. I'll keep the snow cone machine warmed up for you. Or cooled down, whichever. Now this dude has me overthinking everything. Boogie raised his axe above his head and his eyes went absolutely nuts with rage. Then pain. Then confusion. What? He shouted, spinning around and swatting the back of his neck. Baron and Grendex saw it at the same time. The scarab of Mythengall. Grendex had vomited up along with all the other nonsense, and it was chomping down on King Boogie's maybe immortal at some point, but definitely not immortal anymore flesh. Baron saw his opportunity to attack, but with his health so low, he needed to think of everything he could to get repumped. Halloween theme parks at night, dogs sniffing babies and then barking directly in their faces in front of their moms. The time Grendex took a sip of soda and then disgustedly groaned, ugh. And when they looked down at the bottle, they saw that someone scrawled bad on it in Sharpie. But whoever did that still put the soda back in the store's refrigerator and sold it. And whatever was wrong with it, Grendex had already consumed, which happened in real life. The time one of his girlfriends took a sip of an energy drink and the disgustedly groaned, ugh, and spit out a piece of orange gunk that had been in the can but definitely shouldn't have been. When he and that same girlfriend were running together at the gym, and after tying her shoes, she somehow got a pubic hair in her mouth. Baron cracked up and instantly reached 100.01% pump. He tried to jump to his feet, but even though his pump was beyond max out, his health remained at 7% because health regen didn't exist on nightmare difficulty. There were only root beer health pickups, and they had a crazy low drop rate. Grendex saw Baron struggling and extended a low E string, more for moral support than anything else. Baron stuck out a bloody hand to let the string ensnare it. Even though he and Grendex tried to be gentle, the razor wire sliced into Baron's skin, dropping his health to 1%. He slammed on his jet boots and hoped that would be enough. Chapter 47. Baron rocketed toward Boogie, who had used the 10 minutes or so to dislodge the scarab and smashed it under hoof. It had done some major damage, though, and the Monster King was now flashing red to indicate he was super low on health, too. He turned to face Baron and put an end to this farce, as he would have said douchily, but instead he caught a flying razor-wire fish straight to the nuts. The boogeyman fell to his knees, raised two limp-wristed dinosaur arms, and shimmied back and forth like a moron. "Finish him!" Grindex yelled. Baron crouched, kicked, and did a couple punches from a jump distance. Nothing happened. Sweep distance, Grindex corrected. "Oh, shit, right. Baron said as he moved closer or farther because no one knows exactly what the fuck a sweep distance is. Baron crouched, kicked, and punched again. Suddenly he was wailing shrill 16-bit notes on a palette swap Grindex, even though the real one was chilling on the ground next to him. "Oh, whoa!" Boogie screamed as his eyes popped and his brain blasted out of the open sockets like meat through a grinder. Viscous gore poured forth with the color/intensity of a grape juice box that someone accidentally dropped a backpack on. Finally, his hollow head lantern glowed, flickered, and exploded. Candy rained from the sky, followed by the King of Monsteropolis' crown, which flipped and landed perfectly on the Baron's head. What remained of the boogeyman's corpse pissed itself in front of everyone and collapsed into the swamp sand. "Extreme victory! Perfect!" The palette swap Grindex shouted in a barfy robot voice, which is a Killer Instinct reference, only supreme victory. But supreme victory! Perfect! Yes. Despite the fact that it wasn't close to a perfect XTV, since Baron had pretty much gotten his ass handed to him. The Boshi-ass Grindex pixelated into the ether, and Baron walked over and slung the real one over his shoulder. As they headed to the front door, a familiar babe voice stopped him.
"Hey, nice shot."
Which is a chopping mall reference. Baron turned and saw Layla standing on a staircase where she had been chilling for the past 30 minutes, just watching and not helping at all. You know it, Baron said with a bloody wink. "Thanks for Queen chilling until it was all over, by the way."
"Well, to be honest, I didn't think you were going to win,"
Layla said unapologetically.
"and I only back winners."
"Cool. That's pretty bullshit, but whatever. Now that I'm an XTV perfect winner, you want to hit up Taco Bell and Party City with us?" Layla, Baron, and Grindex hopped into her monster sedan with broken air conditioning and headed to the nearest strip mall. Layla talking, Baron blasting/window drumming along to the first and seconds of a metal song before getting bored and skipping to the next one, and Grindex sitting in the back middle seat, so whenever Layla had to look in the rearview mirror to check traffic, he would be staring directly into her eyes. After the trio hit up Taco Bell and Party City, the latter of which most definitely had Halloween stuff, Layla came to a stop in the black-lit below Burb's pumpkin patch where it all began. There was still no sign of the portal. "See?" Baron said, pointing. "The portal isn't here anymore. It's gone. It's dead." Dead ski," Beetlejuice ref, Grindex chimed.
"Dead, eh?"
Layla replied with a sly smile that was extra red because her lips were still irritated from hot sauce, but not in a defamatory way.
"Good thing undeading stuff is my specialty."
Baron and Grindex didn't know what she was talking about since they had already forgotten she was a necromancer, but they shrugged and kicked back as Layla stuck her pinkies into the ground and whistled. The portal exploded open, shooting pink bubbles and milk all over the place. "Sweet!" Grindex screamed. "Time to bust back to Earth and MF Pizzeria 64. Baron was just as pumped, but something held him back, literally. Layla had him by the shoulder.
"You don't have to go, you know,"
she closely whispered with hot sauce breath. "I made a promise to little Billy," Baron replied sternly, even though he wasn't sure if he actually did.
"But you can stay here and be king,"
Layla explained.
"You killed the boogeyman, which means the throne is yours. If you don't accept it, Monsteropolis will be thrown into a new age of war, as the reigning blood-ears and total assholes Prince Kenny and Prince Little Kenny vie for the crown. Please," she pleaded, "stay and be my king."
Little Kenny. Baron laughed while stepping into the portal. And that was on like a Cops episode. There's like a fucking, some fucking dude named Little Kenny, and we couldn't handle it. Being king sounds rad on paper, or I guess in the sky's words, but I know there are a lot of bullshit meetings and stuff that come with it, so forget it. I also think I have a dog that hasn't been fed in however many days or months we've been here, so he's probably getting hungry.
Oh, okay.
Layla replied dejectedly.
Well, I guess this is King Sia then. Stay pump.
Baron was touched all the way to his butt by her co-opting of his lingo, even if she still hadn't figured out the whole pump/pump thing. Yo, why don't you come with us? He asked, extending a hand. Grindex silently freaked the fuck out. Layla looked at the ground and shook her head.
You and I can never be together on Earth,
she muttered. Grindex silently chilled the fuck out. Why not? Baron asked. Just because you're a monster? There are a million witches like you there. You can all hang out in the occult section at half-price books. It'll be awesome.
No, it's not that. It's my age. I may be 950 in Monsteropolis years, but in Earth years it's way, way less.
Like, how less?
Like, you'll go to the booty house less.
Oh, crap. Oh, well then, yeah, King Sia. Baron grabbed Grindex and jumped into the portal. He looked back over his shoulder and saw Layla sadly waving goodbye. He ought to smiled and waved back, thinking about how he wished he hadn't taken her to the Bone Zone in a Party City dressing room. But what was done, and more importantly, geocontextually legal. Everything faded to glow in the dark and then black. As Baron and Grindex, chapter 48, as Baron and Grindex began the long jam back to Earth, they reflected on their time in Monsteropolis, while sweet credits music blasted in the background. It was kind of smooth jazzy, but upbeat, which helped them feel sentimental about their adventure while not diminishing how action-packed it was. Baron thought about Layla. Grindex thought about playing video games and eating room service with his best buddy. While they reminisced, the names and sprites of all of Monsteropolis' monsters scrolled across the sky. Some were crazy surprising. For instance, the obese chef monsters were actually called filet majors, and there were tiny obese chef monsters called filet minors that Baron and Grindex had never even encountered. Can you imagine, though? Oof. They felt a bit gypped, but also kind of pumped because now Monsteropolis had some replay value. After the Boogeyman and a Winners Don't Inject Neon Vials and Monster Drugs message, sponsored by the director of Monsteropolis' Bureau of Anti-Pump, Harry Just Harold Skeeter Esquire, scrolled across the screen, everything faded from black to glow in the dark. There was a loud whoosh, followed by the sound of a kid's collarbone breaking and a bunch of crying. Suddenly, Baron and Grindex found themselves chilling in Pizzeria 64's ball pit. Everything looked the same at first, as ball pit technology is relatively static, but the more the two looked around, the more they noticed that this was not the same pizza parlor they'd left behind. All the arcade machines were now based on crappy mobile phone games. The only pizza on the menu was an alkalized, gluten-free, non-GMO, non-allergenic, flavor-free nutritional paste, 5D printed into any shape of your choosing, contingent upon a statistical prediction model demonstrating a significant majority, significance less than 0.05 of patrons will not be made uncomfortable by your choice. The music sucked. Worst of all, by the stage and wearing a dusty, decrepit party hat slouched Little Billy. Now he was Big Bill, a retired barber and grandpa whose only remaining thrill in life was an annual prostrate checkup. Baron and Grindex hadn't witnessed horrors half as terrible in a world of nothing but fucking monsters. Grindex tore through the ball pit and was halfway through the closing portal when Baron pulled him back out. The portal slammed shut with a soft stink. No, Grindex, Baron growled. Bad Grindex. We just went through all that bull crap so we could party with Little Billy. And guess what? We're going to party with Little Billy. Baron leapt out of the ball pit and stretched his spreading fingers. Are you the fellas from the cable company? Big Bill asked with a shaky voice as Baron and Grindex bust up to him. No, Little Billy, Baron said super loudly and slowly, since that's how old people like to be talked to. It's your homies, Baron and Grindex. We're here for your party. Marty, that dog's been dead for decades. She barked in the baby's face. We had no choice, damn it. No, party. Jerry, the retarded little Indian boy who works down at Walgreens? No, party. Big Bill shifted and Baron heard a diaper crinkle. His pump faltered. Party, he enunciated. Spell it. Party. I know where Alabama is, Big Bill snapped. He squinted and then shifted again. There was a much wetter diaper crinkle. Grindex? Baron pleaded. Hey there, Billy buddy, Grindex tried, using the same tone he uses with cats. We came all the way back to Monsteropolis just to party with you. Remember us, cha boys, Baron and Grindex? I'm afraid I don't remember much nowadays. Zaron and Bindleblacks, was it? Baron, actually, Grindex corrected. But yeah, I'm Bindleblacks. Greek. Big Bill stared off into space. Like I was saying, he continued after an awkward eternity, I don't remember too much anymore. I don't even remember why I come here. Just do, every day. Have for as long as I can remember. Which, like I said, isn't anything to flick your wiener at. Just figure I must be waiting for something, and I'll know it when I see it. But you ain't it. So unless you want to pay my cable bill, you and your little Mormon friend can fart off. Baron had heard / smelled enough. He realized the only way to convince little Billy that it was party time would be to show him. So he kicked through a group of malnourished children who were allergic to everything and leapt onto Pizzeria 64's main stage. The original animatronic mascot band, the Pizza Fire Vom Splosion, stood there tinkering on the same instruments as before, but they no longer played along to Thriller, Somebody's Watching Me, or any other songs that easily could have doubled as tracks on a supermarket's Halloween playlist. Instead, they now played along to minimalistic instrumentation and auto-tune lyrics telling some generic baby how he or she is perfect / beautiful exactly the way you are, so don't even worry about your personality flaws or their comorbidities, there we go. The comorbidities of obesity, and just be a dumpy, sassy jerk from now until your 25th birthday when you keel over because your heart is tired of trying to pump beef jerky to your limbs. To reach Big Bill, Baron would have to drown out the music. He would have to drown it. He would have to bite gently on its fingernails and make little bird noises to lure it into a false sense of security before going crazy and biting super hard until the nails turn purple and split down the middle and shoot blood / cuticles all over the place. It was time to fucking party. Baron bypassed all power chords and began shredding a series of insane black metal solos on Grindex, who held the spider shriek so deep that the reverberations produced double bass drum sounds. It was ultimately cacophonic, yet ultimately pumped. At that precise moment, ADHD metal was born. The Pizza Fire Bomb Splosion tried to keep up, but it was impossible. Because they believed there would be no point in pursuing music / life if they couldn't be the best, an insecurity instilled in them by their literal helicopter parents, they started mercy killing each other. The drummer, a large walrus robot, grabbed his drumsticks and stabbed them into the neck of the generic Italian plumber bassist. With one quick twist, the plumber's eyes rolled into the back of his head and his lips curled into a smile for the first time since before the water backpack incident of 2002. It's a Mario Sunshine ref. The walrus returned the smile as his chest exploded, sending bolts and sparks flying into the crowd of horrified children. A banjo neck stuck through his heart gears and brought them to a screeching halt. Behind the gears and through the walrus's open back, a coonhound banjoist wept violently. Fucking do it already, he begged. The beautiful shark vocalist, with saltwater tears streaming down her face, acquiesced. She snapped her jaw around the coonhound's waist. His pupils widened, and with another chomp, he was cut into 2 rough halves. Oil and coolant poured across the stage, sending the shark belly sliding into the crowd. There were no band members left. To end her own misery, she would have to resort to suicide by technician and violate Law 1. She bit the nearest bystander, Big Bill. You son of a bitch, he yelled as her serrated teeth cut through his liver-spotted arm like unrefrigerated olive loaf. Old people tend to spit whenever they yell / chew / breathe / fight robots, and Big Bill was no exception. A stream of butterscotch saliva launched from his mouth down the shark's throat and into her bow CPUs, causing a chain reaction that short-circuited everything but her robot shark boobs, which began to bounce like fucking crazy. Every gerbil-haired adolescent, dudes, chicks, non-binaries, dragonkin, etc., because this was a more modern time, immediately busted out their cell phones and filmed the scene for later use, because despite it being a more modern time, some things hadn't changed. Baron stopped playing Grindex and rushed to Big Bill's side, kicking aside the shark robot who was quickly dragged off to the ball pit by the ratty teens. "Little Billy!" Baron screamed. "Are you okay?" "Boy, oh boy, that was one hell of a party," Big Bill laughed. "Party? Shit, it's really you, isn't it? Baron and Grindax. I remember now. The fog is starting to clear, boys. I remember. Oh, I've waited so long. And now we finally partied. And I finally got pumped. I'm pumped, dudes. I'm pumped. I'm going nuts." Big Bill sputtered, coughed up a bit of blood applesauce, and crashed to the floor. Baron knelt and checked Big Bill's pulse. "I'm afraid he's fried eggs," he exhaled sadly. What does that mean again?" Grindex asked. "He's dead, dude." "Dang." "Yep." "Well, good thing we have a girlfriend whose specialty is undeading stuff." "Too soon, man," Baron sighed. He straightened Little Billy's party hat and placed gold tokens over his eyes. He then plucked one of the hairs from Little Billy's head and ate it so they'd always be a part of each other. Grindex understood the sentiment, but it still made him feel funny. Baron sheathed Grindex and trudged out of Pizzeria 64's ballerific birthday blastorium. He was on a pump roller coaster so nuts it only could have existed in Tokyo. On the one hand, he was bummed that Little Billy had become Big Bill and then Dead Bill. On the other hand, he understood that there were far worse fates than frying eggs in the jaws of a robot shark vocalist whose boobs were going absolutely fucking ballistic. As Baron's pump coaster finally began to achieve equilibrium, a familiar voice called out to him and almost sent it flying off the tracks. Chapter 49. "Hello, babies," the nasally voice rasped. It was the nerd ticket station attendant. He, like Big Bill, was now an old dude. Unlike Big Bill, and as predicted, he was a non-grandpa who had never dunked a basketball or made out with a babe or anything. So he never had kids/grandkids, which is how that shit works. Baron and Grindex busted straight past him without looking over and bailed out of Pizzeria 64. They were done with bullshit for the day. "Yeah, that's right," the ancient nerd chuckled insecurely. "You better run, little boys." He was secretly devastated, though, for he also had been anxiously awaiting the duo's return. The moment he busted someone as badass as Baron over the difference between ESM4 and ESM5 had been the highlight of his entire life, and ever since then he had hoped to recapture the high of that day. But Baron hadn't even looked over at him, and now he was gone. And now the nerd had nothing to live for. He clutched his chest and collapsed to the threadbare neon carpet. As he lay dying, he realized that he would never be rich/famous, nor would he ever suck on a pair of babe nips. He'd always imagined that he would have all of those things. All it would have taken was one comic he never drew, one tabletop game he never designed, or one Let's Play video he never filmed to get crowdfunded for the millions of dollars he knew his ideas were worth. But he hadn't created anything other than a lot of trash and a lot of dump. He imagined the mountains of both that were his legacy, and immediately bombed up a slurry of half-digested pizza queso dipper bites, the respective habanero ghost pepper ranch sauce, and a gallon of what he dubbed Call of Duty, a mixture of store-brand dew and sweet tea. He reached up to the passing moms and dads, whom he still viewed as grown-ups, even though they were all 30 to 40 years younger. But no one helped him because he was an ugly old man and an absolute stranger. They weren't wrong. After his mom and dad died in a car accident, he became a stranger to the entire world. He thought about his parents often. He thought about how much they had loved him and how they had given him the last hug he ever felt or would feel. He thought about how he played ESM 16 through their funeral because it didn't seem real, or so it wouldn't. He thought about how ever since their funeral, he dreamed of them almost every night. In his dreams, he and his parents were vibrant and happy in his childhood home, where nothing had changed. But then he would awaken in his dark studio apartment and remember that everything had changed. Someone else was living in that house, and his parents weren't living at all. Before he could cry, he would reach for his phone and escape from Sideburn Mountain. Escape from everything. Tears welled in his eyes, but his phone was on the ticket redemption counter, and he was on the floor. He cried openly. The world continued walking by. He wondered if there would be an afterlife, or maybe he could see his parents again, or maybe he could do things differently, just do things. He felt a twinge of hope, but it was quickly ripped away by the realization that if there were an afterlife, he hadn't done anything to deserve a good one or a bad one. He vomited again, but this time it caught in his throat. He tried coughing, but nothing came up. His esophagus burned. He couldn't breathe. He began to count backward, a technique that always calmed him down whenever he couldn't play ESM because it was updating. It didn't help. Panic set in. He could feel his heartbeat in his eyes. He thought of a continue screen. He began to count faster. Fuck yeah, we're finally home, Baron yelled as he and Grenek's jet boot descended to the ratty apartment complex. Bricks were cracked and missing. The roof was blanketed in beer bottles and dead birds, and the pool, despite its sorry clothes sign, was filled with chubby kids wearing t-shirts and splashing waterlogged bees/wasp at each other to see who would get stung first. Everything was almost exactly the way Baron and Grendex remembered it. The only thing off, both figuratively and literally, was their front door. Chapter 50. The duo cautiously but piss-pumpedly busted into their living room/dining room/kitchen. It was a pretty shitty apartment. Oh, fuck knockers, Grendex shouted. What'd you see? Baron replied. Nothing. I just remember we forgot to give LB the pocket knife. Before Baron could respond, a cupboard door exploded open and an almost perfectly spherical child spilled onto the laminate floor. He grunted, stood up, brushed cookie crumbs off his tattered cloak, and attempted to wipe the snow cone syrup off his face, but instead got a bunch of cookie crumbs stuck to it. He then waddled silently, except for some asthmatic wheezing, toward Baron, who wielded Grindex and fingered a barcode in anticipation. The kid stopped short and pulled a crumpled piece of notebook paper from his cloak. He grunted again and then struggled in his best Rodney Dangerfield voice. Yo, Doc Pops, hey, how the hell are you? Let's see, what else? So yeah, you maybe thought you had pumped into adventure, but Mom said you should probably see something. To see them too. The kid definitely had ADHD, but Baron wasn't about to accept some shit that required time and money without being 100% sure it was his. He walked over to the kid and snagged the note. Do you want to read the mini pump?
No, you can.
You don't want to.
Doing character last scene.
Huh?
We're doing final scene with all the characters.
Oh, okay. He walked over to the kid and snagged the note. The scent of hot sauce and witch boobs danced off the paper and into his nostrils. Baron had no idea what the kid thought he was reading, as the letter contained a message that was far more articulate/intense.
Baby Ron, baby Baron is yours now because he's annoying as fuck and I can't deal. Love, Layla, mommy blogger and amateur nutritionist. Ashley, expert nutritionist.
Chapter Infinity. Baron slapped 5 hard with his kid, whom he instantly renamed Ultra Slaughterhouse, because there was zero fucking chance he was going to raise a kid with baby in his name. Baron Grendex and Ultra Slaughterhouse didn't know what lay ahead of them. They might go on a quest back to Monsteropolis to find Layla and ask for some fun money. They may collect half-full cans of soda/beer from construction sites and then pour the contents over crushed ice and sell them as homemade snow cones from a stand outside a minor league baseball stadium. Or they might just kick back and watch cartoons on VHS until their buttholes hurt. No matter which adventure they chose, it was destined to be pumped as fuck. Thank you. And then there are codes for Game Genie. Bonus chapter 64th expansion pack. Alternate ending. The camera zooms over a bunch of fields and finally stops on a nest of boogeyman eggs in a barn somewhere. And then credits and mini pump. Oh, hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
Final, You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So thanks for watching, and we're gonna do 13 Creeps of Christmas on Christmas Day. And now Mrs. Bones' cat variant will read the mini pump.
Are you sure? You, me, and Neil at this point.
Oh shit.
All right, so what's red and green and red from blood all over? It's Spooky Basement 2, 13 Creeps of Christmas. Coming, it's already out, so don't worry about it. You can buy the book. Buy the book on spookybasement.com. Chapter 4, as the mini pump. What the fuck is this monstrosity? Baron yelled. Dweem tracked the voice and waddled over to it. Pops, what's wrong? There's a fucking Eiffel Tower in the middle of the park. How baby ass. Plus, how is it even Christmassy? Dweem sighed in relief. I wonder if it's too late to get a refund, Baron wondered aloud. Dude, just ignore it, Grindax replied. And look at all the cool shit that's around it. Baron took in the sights. Directly in front of him, an ice fountain shot red and green ice water all over the place. On both sides of the fountain were sidewalks lined with candy canes and incandescent Christmas lights, big-ass gumdrops, and bigger-ass gingerbread houses. Oh, damn, true, Baron muttered. Scrape the goodie off. You got it, man, Grindax muttered back. Dweeb had no idea. So this is the mini pump. If you haven't read 13 Creeps of Christmas, Dweeb is a new character that you'll learn about. Dweeb had no idea what they were talking about since Scrape the Goodie Off closed shortly after he was born in Monsteropolis. And the one time his dad tried to tell him about it and his and Grindax's characters there, Dweeb zoned out around the Mrs. Bones part. Well, let's not fuck around, shall we? Baron announced. We all came here for one reason, so let's get to it. He snagged a map from the passing mom's fanny pack and unfolded it. Let's see. It looks like Santa's at Ye Old Nog Lodge in the middle of the park, straight ahead past the roller coasters, arcades, and pizza bounce houses. Dweeb began to sweat more than usual. We get to do some of that stuff though first, right? Like at least the pizza bounce house. I don't even know what that is, but somehow it's all I've ever wanted in life. No friggin' way. I'm a dad now, so we gotta stay on schedule. Look, I have a list and everything. He pulled out a list of chores related to yards, hardware stores that reek of pesticides, and dry cleaners that also reek of pesticides. Them's the bricks, kids. That's a saying, right? Them's the bricks. Them's the road. I don't know. Fucking chore list. There too, Grindax said as he produced a tiny list from his output jack. Dweeb strained his eyes to read what was written in the spider crawl. Chill, mostly, but also clean NBs. What are NBs? Dweeb asked. New Balances, Baron and Grindax said in unison. Jeez, it's like you're not even a dad. The trio beeline straight to Ye Old Nog Lodge. It was a large wooden banquet hall that looked like a toy cabin if it had starred in a movie, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. It's a porn parody. Honey, I Blew Up the Kids All Over Your Face, or its sequel, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids All Over Your Face 2, Honey, I Blew the Christmas. Wow, Dweeb explained as he spun around and soaked in every holly jolly sight, sound, and smell. A fudgery was to his right, and a Miss Cherry Claus-esque grandma pumping out log after log of the good stuff. To the left were rows of hologram and lenticular t-shirts featuring all of Christmas Kingdom's mascots, like Dweezil the reindeer and Booze News the snow dog clown. In the back corner was a makeshift shop that sold nothing but pristine, brand new Sega Saturn games for crazy cheap. In the other corner, an animatronic anthropomorphic corn cob with a straw hat and a piece of straw hanging out of his mouth churned butter. I looked over at Dweeb and winked. Ooh, Dweeb moaned as he entered a sensory pump overload. He spun out harder and squeezed his bosom together in pure Christmas joy. What to do first? None of this bullshit, Baron growled. It's Santa time, Claus. It's Santa time, son. Do we need to pull out the chore list again? Dweem's pump plummeted as Baron grabbed his hand and pulled him to the center of the lodge, where Santa King chilled on a silver throne that throne chilled on his golden dais. Yo, Santa, Baron said sternly. We got a shit ton of wishes and a rabbit proof of time. Ho, 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 Santa laughed. Stuff to do, how delightful. But why is stuff to do STDs plural? Because there's more than one stuff to do. Then why not stuffs to do? SSTDs, asses to do? Baron mewled. Nah, man. We're just trying to do any S's. That goth chick was right about you. You're a little freaky deaky. What's your wish? Santa said, beginning to lose his saintly patience. I want Mom and Dad to be friends again, Dweem shouted as he pushed past Baron. Well, isn't that a lovely wish? Santa said in delight. Oh, someone's about to get a fart. Nah, the fuck grounded, Baron growled. No, Santa chided. This young man is so passionate that he couldn't wait a second longer, and I think that's just fine. Tell me, lad, who's your daddy? And why did he and your mommy break up? Dweem started this time. This time, Baron cut him off. What do you mean, who's your daddy? I'm standing right here. You should know that. Oh, but of course, Santa laughed. Just an old Santa trick, he winked. No sprinkle or sparkle, nor candy cane dust came out of his little eye pocket. Only a tiny, not even Christmas green-eyed booger. Yeah, friggin' right, Baron shouted as he put the names together. Tell me, what's this dude's name? He spun around to show Grindex on his back. The guitar spider monster winked all 8 eyes and sparkles went everywhere. Whoa, what the fuck is that? Santa screamed so loudly his beard flew off and onto Dweem's chuggy hamster eyes. I knew it, Baron declared. You're not the real Santa. No, Dweem said as he straightened his new fake beard. I am. You're fucking grounded is what you are, Baron snapped as he snatched it off Dweem. He threw it back at the face of the was a Santa, now just a stranger. Your beard's fake, and so are you, and look at those acne scars. Fucking gross. You're right, the imposter said sadly. I'm not a Santa. My name is Butt. And I used to eat a lot of straight butter when I was a kid. Or sometimes butter with a little dinosaur fruit snack shammed into it so it looked like they were stuck in a tar pit. And then I got pimples. Santa, you're not real? Dweem stammered. But, Grindex corrected excitedly. You're just a fat, pockmarked guy named Butt, Dweem trailed off. Oh, that was Dweem. You're just a fat, pockmarked guy named Butt, Dweem trailed off. I'm sorry, Butt apologized. So there is no Santa, and I'll never get my one Christmas wish. Baron cringed at his kid saying one Christmas wish. It's one thing to have a magical dude and tell him what you want so you get it, he thought. But Dweem is making it too weird/baby. Plus, he's way too old for that shit. Yeah, Butt sucks, he said. Let's get out of here. Well, Dweem, you get out of here. Your uncle and I are going to hang around for a bit. Baron and Grindex chuckled as the later unwound 2 of his strings and made them dance around like little nooses. Hey, make it 3, Butt said with a smile. Hell no, Baron snapped. You made my kid realize there's no such thing as Santa or magic, so you're not getting shit except maybe a couple swift kicks to the ping pong. Yeah, Butt Grindex. Yeah, Butt Grindex chimed in because he was really enjoying the name. Wait a present-picking second, the imposter said while covering his crotch. Now, I never said there's no such thing as a real Santa. I'm listening, Baron said. Dweem turned his head, hopefully, his chubby little meatball eyes glowing in wonderment. Fake Santa, leaned in closely and whispered, The real Santa is in this park. You just said you weren't Santa, Dweeb said. And you, and you have doo-doo breath, Grindex added. Baron cracked up. We should start calling him doo-doo breath instead of butt, or do breath, or doo-doo breath island man. Shut the fuck up for half a second, you idiots, butt snarled. None of the trio was surprised because they knew. Sorry, none of the trio was surprised because none of the trio was surprised because they knew that since he wasn't actually Santa, he didn't have to be Mormon nice anymore. But a bunch of kids started crying, and moms began letting the Yelp reviews fly. Well, there goes my job and Christmas for my kids. Thanks a lot, Butt sighed. He rose from his Santa throne and headed to the door. Wait, Baron yelled as he followed. You still have to tell us about the real Santa. I don't have to do shit for you now that you got me fired. Good, get fucked. Bye-bye. Please, Santa Man, Dweem called from behind. Baron and Butt turned to find Dweem sitting in Santa's throne, trying to look like a sad puppy with developmental issues. But since he was just a dumpy fat kid, or possibly a dumpy fat adult with a greasy bowl cut and clothes that smelled like porta potty aged cheese, it looked pathetic in a way that he wasn't going for at all. Baron frowned and shook his head in fatherly disappointment, and Butt in fake Santa-ly disappointment. Man, y'all are annoying, he muttered. I mean, y'all are just generally unlikable people. And guitar spider monster, Grindex added. Oh yeah, and guitar spider monster. How could I ever forget something so cool? The Santa imposter said sarcastically. He was really starting to become a dick, but Baron let it slide in order to hear about the top Sikhs. Luckily, his patience paid off. Look, Butt said. I'll tell you the secret, A, if you leave me alone, and B, because you'll probably get killed in your quest. Deal, Baron agreed. This park, it changes at midnight. Just chill until 12:25 CM and you'll see. CM? Christmas magic time, not child molester time. Or Chinese moo time, or anything else stupid or offensive, so don't even start. Whoa, project much? Baron replied indignantly, even though he was trying hard not to crack up at Chinese moo time. Sorry, I'm just tired. Y'all are tiring. Stay here until 12:25 p.m. That's when their haunted house is open. That's when they come out. Baron became instant intrigued. Whoa, who? The 13 Creeps of Christmas. The 13 Creeps of Christmas is Spooky Basement Volume 2 of the 13 Creeps of Christmas.
Perfection. Happy Halloween.
Bye.